You're listening to another episode of the Anna Vivo podcast. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Anna Vivo podcast. We are live from downtown Oak Harbor, which is saying a lot because this is a hustle and bustling place. And we have some of the finest hustle and bustling people up here. Number one, welcome back, fan favorite, Benny.
I'm here.
That's Benny. Ben is a septic contract worker with Would-Be Septic, the owner, founder, and now co-owner with his brother, Seth.
No.
That's
Just start over.
a great leadway and segue into the next guest, Steven.
I'm not the co-owner with Ben. Thank you very much.
He's his own island.
So many brothers to go around. And, of course, our favorite co-host of the show. Do you have a nickname?
Oh.
Jamie.
Jamie.
Jessica. Jessica Boyd, the all-powerful, all-encompassing, all great things.
With a 1980s Mel Gibson haircut right now.
Which she's
Bringing
rocking.
the vibe
And
for today.
who just celebrated a birthday
That's right.
yesterday.
Yeah,
which is
just turned
exciting.
36.
So we are going to do something different for all of you listening in today. We are going to do a spot check podcast where we do a round robin of questions. And we're going to start off with a great question suggested to us by Jamie, a.k.a. Jessica. And this will be sort of a bite-sized mini episode for all of you to enjoy. So outside of our normal hour-long episodes, this will be sort of 20-minute binge-worthy sessions right here. We're around a fireplace. Ben, can you describe the aura in the room?
Before you say that, how dare you put a time frame on our discussions?
Not organic.
All right, Ben, what's the aura?
The fireplace is crackling.
You want to elaborate, Steven?
I feel like there should be some like mahogany and leather-bound books in here.
There's
some maps, framed maps, lots of maps. Lots
yeah,
of,
there are a lot of maps.
I don't know, are those
Actually.
Boy Scout patches?
Yes, those are Boy Scout
Some
patches.
bayonets.
There's no bayonet. No.
Do you see that he-
samurai
Oh,
sword?
There's a sword up there, yes. That's from
3
Afghanistan.
He's got
Oh, okay.
4, 5, 6 world maps
Yeah.
on the wall.
I don't think I have enough. Actually, that's a world map too, but it's a clock.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A map of Washington.
There's 3 more in the corner down here that I don't have space to unroll.
Oh my goodness. Should
That
we
one,
talk about the swords from around the world? Should we start out with that?
that one is a map. It rotates and it tells you the time zone right now, which is
my
kind of cool.
gosh,
So
what
the
a
black,
nerd.
see the black? That's the nighttime. White is daytime.
Yeah, but does it update automatically?
It's moving right now.
for daylight savings?
Oh no, you have to hand crank it.
So what's the point?
It's an antique. It's cool. It's a map.
That is pretty
I
cool.
like maps.
Antique.
Please silence your phones while we're on the podcast.
How dare you? We're around a campfire. This is sacred ground.
Yeah, we've got a campfire
I
going.
say that wasn't me, but I'll silence my phone.
What else? Does anybody else want to elaborate? Jess?
Oh, on the ambiance? No.
Okay, great.
yeah.
Let's kick it off.
I think I requested campfire because I just, I'm a dirty hippie. I feel like all the good camp stories come from sitting around a campfire. So I kind of requested this, but it's actually quite hot in here. So I'm a little regretting it.
To be
okay.
fair, that's just a light.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
the
it's
heat.
just me. Is
The
that what
heater
you're
is
saying?
turned
Oh,
off.
that's
yes.
the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Ben was talking about the ambiance of the fire, and he didn't even realize we had a fire
You said
in here.
campfire. I thought we were supposed to be imagining something.
Oh no, you don't have to imagine it, bro. There's a real fireplace, electric
There's a
fireplace right
fake
there.
fireplace
Yeah.
in the corner.
There's a candle going. There's a
The lava lamp.
there's a lava lamp to bring back our 80s days, and you can blow that candle out if it's too hot.
Oh,
I don't
That's
think
okay.
that's what's supplying the heat.
Okay. I do have a computer that's on and probably generating a ton of heat. All right, well,
so Tim's last office that he had in his other house was a green room, and that was hot.
oh,
That was just like
A
you
green
walk
room,
in there,
like a
Like he had tarps over the windows and plants everywhere. And it was like musky and 115 degrees.
I like plants.
It's like tarantulas crawling out of the woodworks.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
was
like a
horrible.
jungle
He's
in
like,
there.
Come in, let's have a meeting. I'm like, I don't want to be in here.
It was so
literally
Yeah, like
nice.
bushwhacked to get to his desk.
Listen, I like my offices. Like if you've ever seen Indiana Jones, you know his office. That's just a clutter of all these old artifacts and maps and plants and like random journals everywhere. That's the kind of aesthetic that I'm about.
Yeah, and falling down sound panels.
Those panels are not falling down.
What is
Oh, no,
what
they've
is
got
that
duct tape
panel?
on them.
That's 3D. It's designed. It's designed
I
that way.
can clearly see the nail you used to hold it together.
Like I said, it's not falling down. All right, so the episode then, it sounds like we've got a running title, The Campfire Session. Thank you all for listening in. What's our first topic?
Man, should we talk about swords from around the world or whatever powder is in those vials? We were
Those
talking
are-
about regrettable
those-
tattoos.
Those powder
second.
vials are from my mother.
Oh,
Are they
is that
sand?
somebody in there?
Sand from around the world?
No, it's not
Oh,
someone.
they're ashes. Oh.
No. It's sand.
From where? He doesn't
Uh,
even know. He doesn't even care.
No, they're from the Dead Sea when they went to
Oh.
Oh,
Israel.
wow.
Oh.
Yeah, and other places around Israel.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really nice.
I crack
She didn't
it
get
and
you
rub it
guys
on my
one?
skin. Will I all of a sudden be like gorgeous?
There's only 2 of us that are the favorite, and I was not in that deal. So
And I'm not
Oh.
a sand collector, so, you know.
So we opened up the conversation with regrettable tattoos, and
yes.
Steven led the conversation.
did I? Oh, I agreed to not talk
Ja-
about.
Dragonfly's tramp stamp.
So I do have 3 tattoos. But before I had tattoos, I worked at Sprint, the cell phone store, and
One thing led to another.
One thing
the
led to
gateway
another.
drug of getting tattoos is working at Sprint.
and my coworkers all had tattoos. One of them had a whole sleeve and everything, and so they're always asking me like, "What tattoo do you want? What tattoo do you want?" And I was always under the mindset of like, I'm not gonna get a tattoo unless I know that I want this meaning with me for the rest of my life. And one of my coworkers' tattoos, I don't want to put them on blast, but if they ever hear this, they went in with their friends and they all got a pistol shooting something or something like that. And
Oh,
they,
no.
they all regretted it
Oh.
horribly. And they all ended up not being friends or something like that. And so I was like, I never want to do that. And so my very first tattoo, it was my cousin's birthday, Gunnar. And we both went to a bar and we both got a little tipsy.
What birthday?
I don't remember what birthday it was.
Okay.
He was obviously old enough to get a tattoo at the time. And so we walked next door to the tattoo parlor that was next door. And he didn't know what he wanted, and I didn't know what I wanted. And he was just like, let's get a tattoo together. And I was like, okay, fine. And he was just trying to come up with ideas, and he didn't have anything good. And so finally, I was just like, well, I like space. I like this. I like,
Nerd.
yeah, nerd stuff. And so the tattoo artist was just Googling images of a spaceman, and I just picked one out that I liked. And so
Like an
I have
astronaut.
a little astronaut on an asteroid.
Oh, really?
And so that's my first tattoo.
Wait, I want to see it. Where is it?
Uh-oh.
I don't think that's appropriate.
This is not a YouTube video for a
wow.
reason.
But from a distance, it doesn't look like a little
No.
astronaut.
No, it does not. Which
It's
is
like
what I
something a boy
remind
would
you.
draw on a window, dirty window.
So I don't regret it because I do enjoy the meaning of it. But
boy.
and I do enjoy that I share it with someone else. All my tattoos I share with someone else. But I do wish it was something more artistic.
It's okay. I also have. I think this is a running joke. Your dad, when I drove here to ask your mom and dad to pray with me to become a believer, to follow Jesus, the first thing he said, it was like, "Oh, I think you have sperm on your arm."
Oh no! Who said that?
Your dad said that to me in church.
No.
Because he did say that, and no, because I don't know if you remember this, but so my story is a little bit, and this is why I was thinking about tattoos today. Is I grew up a Christian, loved Jesus till I was like 23, and then spent 10 years in the belly of a whale, running away from God as hard as I could, and now I am back from outer space. Anyway. during that time, all of my friends were just covered in tattoos head to toe. And so I have 2 tattoos, and one of them I got with my sisters, and it's this little dandelion, and I thought I was going to get a sleeve, you know, I thought I was going to be covered in tattoos. And so it's like this terrible drawing. It looks like I draw it on every morning. That's one of the comments I get. And it's just like a little dandelion that kind of looks like
that looks really good.
Yeah, and then it has like little like seeds coming off of it, but for a long time. And I think I told your dad this story probably 10 years ago when I was still running away from the Lord pretty hard, or like maybe 5 years ago. I was like, oh yeah, guys tell me all the time that I have sperm on my arm. Like, it looks like, just like no filter, no recognition. That's not something you say to your uncle. And so he remembered it from probably 5 years ago and said that to me in church. And he knew I was like, you know, hanging on by a thread. I was a ragged little human being. And he knew I was coming to like ask for forgiveness and for Jesus to be my savior. I was like, oh my goodness.
What guy is telling you, hey, that black ink on your arm looks like sperm?
Well,
what
to be
does their
fair,
sperm look like?
well, I don't know, but it is flower sperm. That's my answer.
Yeah, but
well,
it's
it is. Like, it's the
dark
cycle of life.
Well,
ink.
you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. So that's what I told Uncle Clay. Well, you're not wrong. And Anyway, so my other tattoo. Sorry, I kind of hijacked your turn, but my other
I don't have any
tattoo.
turns.
Now that I'm a Christian again, and there's all these people that.
Is this recent?
No, this was my first tattoo.
Oh, okay.
So I also barely remember it because for a long time, maybe a couple years, I was not very sober. And all my friends were, you know, head to toe covered in tattoos, and their brothers and family members were tattoo artists. So I was like, had this shoe-in to like get body work done if I wanted to for free.
No, you never trust a friend.
I know. Oh, I have so many stories. Some of my friends, like, you know, they all had quite a tolerance. Like, have like half drawn on turtles that they like.
I did it on an orange and it looked really good, so I can do it on you.
Like, someone stopped me halfway through tattooing myself. Oh boy.
So what is it?
Anyway,
what is it?
not soberly got tattooed was like. It says on Corsancier, which is a heart without wax. And I knew I was going to regret it, but I was like, I don't know what I want on my body for the rest of my life. And it's just a Bible, you know, it's a Bible lesson of like, if Jesus is living in you, you are a vessel for Christ. So don't fill your cracks. Like if you're a lantern, like an old pottery lantern that has cracks, don't fill them with wax, because that's how Jesus shares himself with other people, is through your flaws.
Wow.
So yeah, it's this like beautiful little pun, but I got it when I was super high. And then for the next 10 years, I was like, oh, I regret this tattoo. Oh, you have a really lame like little peace dove tattoo. Me too. Like, then all these people that are also running away from the Lord.
Wow.
So that was our talking point. So now I think about it like, gosh, I really don't want to share this testimony to this like beautiful community here about like running away from God for 10 years, but I put this tattoo on myself to tell myself that one day you're going to have to be open with people about your flaws.
And here you are.
And here we are, recording alive.
Coming back like the prodigal daughter.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah. I prefer the Jonah story, the
Or
belly
Jonah
of the
story.
way.
Sure.
Whale,
I mean,
yeah.
all of Scripture is filled with, you know, sinners that are redeemed by Christ and do great things for Him and His glory until they pass on. So any of those stories.
I want to point out
perfect.
that both of those stories, the prodigal son came back and he was rewarded, but he still didn't it didn't talk about him worshiping God or anything like that.
Well, these are parables,
And Jonah came back and he was angry with God.
and that's not a parable.
Like, how dare you save this place?
I just
Yeah, there's some theology that we can get into later, but close.
Yeah. I think the prodigal son is really more about like the reaction of everybody else. Like, you
Yeah.
know, I used to hate the prodigal son because my dad would make that joke, the prodigal daughter is coming back for dinner. And I'm like, okay,
thanks,
I'm not, I understand that I'm not doing that well, but we don't have to like reference that I'm like squalling away all of my inheritance
when did you
every
give me
time
your
I come back to
Yeah.
We could just say, welcome home, Jess. But really, truly, like every time I came home, whether it was a spiritual or just for dinner, like my parents would, you know, kill a fattened calf and just wrap me in love. And I feel that the same, with community here that doesn't
Yeah.
even know me. But I prefer the Jonah story because I think of the 10 years of like running away from God and throwing myself into the belly of the whale. I think I've talked to you about this, Stephen, before. It's like, I just think it's so interesting with that metaphor of like, for me, like I knew God's love and I just threw myself in this like, belly of the whale with all this other like weird stuff down there, but there were a lot of other people down there too.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just running away from God." Yeah, it's just like I feel like I was always like this little awkward, like, I'd wear like a cardigan to like a death metal bar. And people would be like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Oh, just running away from God. I don't know what I'm doing here."
Hey, you're honest.
Yeah.
I do like the Jonah story because he's running away. He's like, I don't want to do this. I know I don't want to be here. And he even tells the crew of the ship, like, I'm running away from God. And the crew is like, how dare you get on our ship while you're running away from God?
Right.
And then when the storm comes, they're like, your God is obviously powerful. Get him off of here. And so they throw him over. And he's in, like, the deepest depths of everything, in the belly of the whale. And then that's the first time he prays, is like, God, I'm so sorry. I won't do this again. Instantly saved. And he still is like, I don't want to go save this town that you're wanting me to save.
Please don't tell me.
These people are corrupt and everything else. But yeah, it's like he turns to God, instantly saved. And it's like, that's a lot of life stories for a lot of people, is like you're at your lowest point and then you turn to God and just ask for help out of just pure desperation. And he gives you a way out.
Yeah. And I think, for me, like, I feel like there were multiple times within my 10 years of like, man, I know I need God. Like, I followed this and I was taught this growing up and I did this for years. I just cannot, or I would like drag myself to the feet of the Savior and just couldn't make it stick, essentially, whether it was like shame or active sin or just didn't plug into a community. There's multiple instances, so lots of different reasons. But, for me, like, some of my darkest moments is when God, like, reminded me how much he loved me. And I think that's a gift. And I think that I chose a lot of terrible things in my 10 years, but God also has a plan of redemption for that. And, we've talked about over and over again, like, your parents' experience in Tahiti. And a lot of the skills that I learned for that trip was while I was in the belly of the whale. And a lot of the people that, like, I met in the belly of the whale, like, I think God had a plan for them and us meeting. And, I wish that wasn't the plan that I had chosen for myself, or, like, who knows, like, whether or not it was written before I chose it or not. But
Yeah, those are the,
now I see, like, 10 years later, gosh,
those are the cracks in your heart that God doesn't want you to seal with wax.
yeah. We don't have to talk about all the stories, especially on recording. But anyway, you've got tattoos too. I remember, gosh, I don't even remember. This has got to be like 8 years or 6 years ago or something. I think my brother graduated from college, and this was when I was actively still working at a bar and like in my solid 2 years of darkness. And I think I went to my brother's graduation, and my dad was like, who does not like tattoos. My dad is like the most honest.
A great Boy Scout.
How dare you
he's
mark
like,
your body?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, Jess, why don't you show Graham your tattoo? And I was like, oh, yeah, this is, this little sperm on my arm. And he was like, well, Graham, why don't you show Jess your tattoo? And I was like,
that's
what?
Tim's fault.
And she references, well, Tim got such a beautiful tattoo that I wanted this cute little, she has like, and for years I was like, wow, feminine power, you rock, Graham. Has like this cute little like flower with a ladybug on her chest, which is just adorable.
Yeah,
But
which is hilarious.
You were the inspiration.
Yeah, my own grandmother, our own grandmother, corrupted.
Who rocks?
Who rocks? Corrupted.
Our mom was so devastated. What? Graham got a tattoo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tim talked to her and her, what?
Immediately disowned.
Yeah. What was even more funny is the timing she decided to show everyone or tell me when she got a tattoo was in the middle of church.
Yeah, at church. I remember, and it's in a permissive spot.
It's a
low
sensitive spot. A
chest
low chest
area.
tattoo from my
And Graham
grandmother.
is like the sweetest, least controversial person.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, she's not a biker babe.
No, no.
She's like,
And so she's in church and pulling her shirt down and showing me her daisy. I'm like, Graham, this is so wonderful. I'm so sorry.
but your tattoos, I mean, they are. I've only seen you have a cross tattoo on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
And how do people respond? Did you ever get people being like, "Oh yeah, this is kind of phallic" or whatever? Yeah. No offense. Please
That's
strike
the
that
first
from the
thought.
record.
That's the first thought.
Yeah, I
Is
just feel
that
like
what you think?
I feel like people always make fun of each other's tattoos, so
Oh,
I'm
sure.
sure that's the easiest joke. Or
I
why
don't
do you did you get bad reactions or interesting reactions?
Maybe people did internally.
What? Your first tattoo was a cross, right?
Yeah.
With
On
all
your
our
shoulder.
initials on
Mhm.
it. Yeah. And I had more initials than anyone else, so I cost more.
Well, it's
More
not that,
pain.
It's not that you had it more, but Seth is an S and you're an S. So how am I
Seth
gonna?
is firstborn, so why
Seth
didn't you do
is-
SE instead of me, the last?
I did everybody one initial,
ST.
and then I got to you, and I was like, "Crap, Steven's gonna have to be ST for Saint," because I knew
Oh.
God was gonna call you to this later.
To what later? Be a tattoo artist? ...
That
You-
When I
whatever.
listen to this in the future, I'll know.
Yeah, exactly. Reference this story 10 years from now.
I do remember Tim joined the Navy. You got the tattoo while you're in the Navy, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I remember you coming home and you showed us your tattoo and it had flower leaves over top of it.
That was the second one. The first
Okay.
one I got here at a really cool place called Bandana Mike's,
Oh,
which is
wow.
which
That
is
doesn't sound seedy at all.
which is exactly where Graham went.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
So in Anacortes, and it was great actually. I got it with one of my best friends at the time, Steven Alvarado, and we got our first tattoos together. So he got his the Southern Cross because he was really into all things Australia at the time. So he got the Southern Cross, the stars on their flag on his back, and then I got a cross made out of nails with the Miller name on it and all of our initials. But then, yes, after later in the Navy as well, I came back with a wreath of olive leaves for peace that wraps around that is probably what you're referring.
Yeah. So I remember you coming home and the first time you had the cross and it was like, wow, that's a huge tattoo. It's
That's big.
whole
Very
shoulder.
bold.
Yeah. And then you came back again with the leaves over top.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
man,
they
it
probably
just
just walked
gets
around with
bigger.
like only one sleeve attached to his shirt. Sleeve.
Rolled up.
Yeah.
It was rolled up. Yeah. Like, what's up?
Can't look at anything else.
And then he came back again and he had a huge tattoo across his back.
Oh, see, this I don't know.
And so, and then at that point, I was like, Tim is going to turn into one of those bikers
Biker. He's a biker.
with sleeves and cheek tattoos.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please get a little like crossed here.
I know, little cross tears and
And then after the back tattoo, I'll let you talk about the back tattoo. But after that, it was pretty much really hidden tattoos. All your tattoos were pretty much hidden, and you're very specific about it being hidden and the color of the tattoo fading into your skin when you got older. And so
I'm a firstborn. I plan.
I think
long
I
range.
talked you into that because I was like, Tim, this is a huge tattoo. Where are you going from here?
Is it a henna tattoo? Can you just tell my hippie heart that it's a henna
They
tattoo?
are all henna
Oh
tattoos.
my goodness.
Can you
Wow.
look at this? You can't even see it. I'll have to show that to you in the
Can't
light.
even see it because he's getting so
Gosh,
old.
I
'Cause I'm
am
getting
so
so
happy.
It's fading
makes
into
it
his
like-
skin.
This was actually my first tattoo.
So he
like a paper
memorized
scroll.
the ink color like 046698.
Oh my gosh, what a nerd. I'm so impressed.
So what's this giant tattoo on your back?
So, well, from there, I went and got more on the rest of my arm and shoulder.
Yeah, and the rest of the family was holding their breath.
I'm flabbergasted
and
that
then
you're
I
the
got
most tatted person in this room right
down
now.
on my
Oh my
leg as
goodness.
well in Japan. So, well, it's the Navy, right? I mean, we're known for 5 things:
Just that thug.
sex, tattoos, drinking, fighting, and swearing.
Rock and
Right?
roll.
Like that's the 5 things the Navy's known for. And as a believer, I'm like, okay, how do I combat these 5 things that everybody wants me to? So I don't swear just as a good habit, and especially with kids. And I try to be more articulate, and so I try to avoid the swearing and come up with more clever words like just dumpster fire and things like that I borrow from other people.
Let's make it more punny.
Which are more fun. I'm not a very good fighter, so I just stop there. I flight.
Sounds like you've tested this theory.
multiple times. I want to fight. I have a heart for it. I just don't end up.
Don't have the body.
I just don't have the body. The Lord has blessed me with being the smallest, even though I'm the oldest.
Oh man, I've got the body but not the heart for it.
Yeah, yeah. We need to trade here. I never actually drank in the Navy. I started drinking when I got married, which sounds really bad on the episode right now, but there's a story in that which we can share later.
So worse than sperm on your arm?
You,
That's the bar we've set.
what did you
Open
say?
up
You
with it.
never drank until you got married?
Right. I didn't drink until we got
That's
married.
Not
My
true at
dad.
all, and he's lying right now on podcast.
No.
Lies.
It's,
What's the evidence?
what I mean
can
is
drink.
I didn't drink. I've had a drink.
There we go.
Like a
Okay.
Mike's
yeah.
Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, my dad
It's
got
not
me.
became
really.
an alcoholic.
He's
until he
gotten
got married.
drunk, but he never became an alcoholic.
No, my dad got me my first beer when I turned 21, and it was a Korean rice beer because he was really cool.
Oh, that's more than I got.
And that was cool. That was more than you got, Ben.
What
What'd
did you get, Ben?
I got nothing.
You got nothing? You didn't
I
even get a
turned
beer?
21 in Iraq.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
There,
wow.
That's what you get for being in Iraq for your 21st birthday.
They didn't even give you like a, what's that, an ice? Like hiding ice in your beer or something?
beer.
Oh, that's new. That's
They
way
don't
too
have
new.
alcohol in Iraq
Ben's
except the
50.
stuff you
That's
make.
at least-
Except the stuff you make in your own
They
hooch.
had that near beer stuff.
Yeah.
What is near
Oh,
beer?
Ben told us a
Oh,
story.
duels. You know, like O'Doul's and that
or
kind of
like
stuff.
Oh, okay.
Non-alcoholic alcohol.
So
Oh,
they
in
were
Iraq? That's
chugging
all they
these
had?
non-alcoholics.
Gross.
I
You
know.
mix it with a little bit of hand sanitizer or rubbing
Oh my
alcohol.
God, this is a
something,
lie.
ethanol or something gives you that flavor and then a little buzz at the end. But
Oh my goodness.
do I need to speak a little closer to the mic?
Yes, please.
It's a
Thank
little
you.
awkward from this angle, but
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They didn't have any like bathtub gin or anything?
You're on duty.
There's no trouble?
you're in Iraq in an active war zone. It's you can't be just out getting
When I heard this,
blitzed on the battlefield.
Ben just recently told us this, and I was like, "You're kidding me! You're drinking non-alcoholic beer. Like, there's no way that these soldiers over there don't have alcohol." Like,
I am impressed, yeah.
It's
It's
true.
also, Middle Eastern countries, so they're
Yeah, a little
like
contraband.
90% dry country.
Nate went to Bahrain, and
That's not the same.
Nate went to Bahrain in the Coast Guard, went to a coastal
and they have
city.
alcohol there.
Yeah, it's the city that God doesn't see.
No, they do
Which-
have alcohol in Bahrain, but
Yeah.
but they don't have alcohol in Iraq. But they do make it. You do make it yourself.
Yeah, you find some farmer with
Fruit
his
punch. You
homegrown
marinate some fruit.
Moonshine.
moonshine,
Yeah.
But
something
we would
made out
order
of
in.
donkey pee.
Oh
Get
my
some
gosh. I
opium.
have had
No,
moonshine
the
out of
grain.
a coconut and smoked out of an apple, and good
Ooh.
gracious, I am.
We've probably pretty good.
Go
Yes.
from talking about Jonah to this.
To answer all that, yes, I had a very depressing 21st.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, where's my cricket symbol? That one doesn't work actually.
Shots of
Yeah.
hand sanitizer.
So
Very appropriate. Anyways, so tattoo.
So I did have some drinks. Dad got me my first drink when I was 21, and I had a couple drinks here and there, but I never started drinking like regularly until I got out of the Navy to combat.
When you said people would see you and be like, "I know you're a Christian. What are you doing drinking?" Right? So like people had a standard for you that
Non-believers typically hold us more accountable than our own believing friends, sadly, and so
Yeah, like
people
how
would-
dare you sip even an ounce of alcohol?
Right, and so they would say, "Aren't you supposed to be at church? Aren't you supposed to be
got
doing this
this
or whatever?"
cross
And so
tattoo.
so there was a lot of that, and
Need
so
I remind you that Jesus turned water into wine?
That was his first miracle, and Mom hates that.
And it's great. I know we talked about this in the field. I was like, well, he's got to know what good wine is like, what that feels like.
Well, that's actually it's something I did learn over in the Middle East. It's their wine is not like wine you would find here. It's more akin to just grape juice. So it's
But
still
good wine.
sweeter.
alcohol.
It's sweeter.
Okay, but what makes good wine?
It's
like,
sweeter.
There's no way that it's just the taste. It has to be like good wine, like gets you messed up. There's no way.
I don't know if that's true.
Oh,
Been
yes.
fermenting for
Like
30
it's just highly alcoholic.
Well, like
years.
tannins. It's just like,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we could talk about the different buzzes if you want. You want to go down that path? I mean, but
Save that
nice
for
red
the
wine
next
with
campfire
tannin is like,
episode.
I mean, it's like on the same level as like scotch and whiskey. It's like just a different kind of buzz that also has a terrible hangover. But I feel like, it's also very quality.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the kind of wine that Jesus made.
It could have been. But,
I know,
it's
because they
not.
talk about like that as a celebration of like, what was the point of making the best wine at the very end? Because you get trash and then you lower your liquor content. You bring out the trash.
You watched
beer.
the episode.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I already knew that. I studied the Bible for a grade, so I knew before.
Was
Before
that
I
in
ever,
the Bible?
Yeah.
Oh, was
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I haven't heard it in a long time.
Not the alcohol part, but the
No.
bringing the better
bring
wine
the better
out,
wine
yes.
at the end.
Yeah, bring out the better
Yeah.
wine. Yeah. So
Yeah,
before I ever knew about drinking, which was awkwardly late in life, I already knew that. But yeah, now
Oh,
that I've
wow.
had wine, I
But
was
the
like,
definition of what makes good wine
Yeah,
is
so-
controversial.
So back in the day, like Jesus' time,
Mm-hmm.
when they're drinking good wine and everyone says this is good wine, is it the taste or the alcohol?
That's what
content?
we're
Well,
talking
I
about.
don't
If
know
we're going from the
historically, but-
chosen, which is an artistic rendering, they would say the
but
higher.
even before the chosen, this
It
is
must
something
be
I
the
learned
taste.
in
Right.
high school.
Well, from the
so.
chosen, it must be the taste because when he sips it the first time, he doesn't know what the alcohol content is. He just knows this tastes good.
Oh, see, I missed that part of this,
Well, 'cause
him
he-
sipping. But I mean, the context is that like, the people are celebrating like days and days of celebration, and like, your ability to provide for your guests is a make or break situation socially.
Yeah.
And so when he, which I have to put a pin in this because I feel like the only two boyfriends I've had in life that I've introduced to my parents, I just tried to get them like a little bit tipsy.
Your
Before the
parents or the
parents?
boyfriend?
Oh no, the parents.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, God, we just
Ease
need a lot
them
of
into this.
champagne.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, I
Confession time.
digress. I digress.
Sorry, Mom.
Anyway, but that's the point. Like, you're celebrating love. This is a multi-day thing. Like, and that was the point of like whoever received the wine of like, gosh, wow, this is amazing wine. Usually, you bring out the best wine 1st and
Get everyone drunk. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. But
Yeah, and that is the context in Scripture is that the world is saying, whoa, that's not how you do this. You're supposed to bring out the good wine first because that's what we'll all notice because we're all still sober. Then
Right.
when we're drunk, you
You're
bring out
impaired and you don't notice.
Right, you
And
water it down, you bring out the old stuff.
So
but
it must
he-
be the taste.
he
Because if
saved-
you're all drunk,
he
you
saved the
won't
good stuff
notice
for last.
taste at all.
Right, yeah. So it
It's the taste. So what is this Afghani
Oh,
wine?
see, I think it proves that it's not the taste.
No. It must be the taste because if you're drunk, you don't care about the taste. You're just like whatever. Send
Well,
it.
that's so the point strategically of drinking is to drink the good stuff first because you feel it like it lasts long, but you don't want to be like trashed and
so
then
you start
drink
with
the strong stuff.
Everclear and end with beer.
I mean, you don't want to end with Everclear. I know that much. You don't end with the strong stuff.
she was a bartender. She knows.
Got lots of stories where you should not end in the strong one. But anyway,
Wow, this is our 20-minute limit just kind of went right over.
I know,
to
I
I was
15
told you
gonna
minutes.
not
say,
to
that was
put a
aggressive
thing on it.
timeline.
No, this is good. So we've sort of been all over the place here.
Yeah, what is
but
our
to
feeling on
summarize it-
Jesus and weed? We didn't talk about that.
That could be an
I'm just
episode.
kidding.
Yeah, no.
Jesus and weed. I have an answer for that. He doesn't like it.
To put an asterisk into the episode here, this is not a professional sound studio. You will hear dogs barking in the background. You will hear children running up and down the hall, and you will hear the click and clatter of all of our microphones because this is just not a professional sound studio recording.
Click clack.
Yep, there we go. So thank you for listening, though. We are going to move into the next topic here shortly. We're back at episode 2, where binge-worthy content is our game. Go ahead.
Can you undo all that you just said?
Nope.
Because the first episode, you did an intro song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna do each episode its own.
Intro's only for the series beginning.
Right. I'm going to do... Thank you, Ben. Ben
Get
should
with
be
the
my
times,
content
Steven.
moderator.
But I feel like we should have a like little dance.
Oh, you
intermission.
guys want the
Yeah,
music.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to episode 2.
is so
This is the
long.
binge-worthy side of the podcast where we're doing small, shorter segments on random topics that we find interesting. And the whole point of this podcast really is the shenanigans of my head, your host, Tim C. Miller of Anavivo and livingonwibby.com. And just really to be more authentic in life is the goal. So here we are. Are we gonna draw a topic from the?
Oh, let's do it. Let's go into blood and guts.
Or we're gonna go right into
Yeah,
blood,
let's do it.
It's okay. Shield the ears of your more sensitive
viewers.
listeners
Yeah.
We'll try and,
as we bring in our trauma nurse and
I haven't earned that.
world extraordinaire traveler and all things. We're also here on the panel today is a poop expert, and we will
Actual poop
Actual expert.
yeah, and so and also someone
we should have like a test or like a game show.
yeah.
Okay, let me just interrupt you real quick. Sorry. Nurses have so many poop jokes. Like our memes are like cakes about the different quality of poop.
No.
Because you have to chart. There's like 7 different types of poop.
What do you mean cakes?
Like if someone's
We're
leaving
just
a
jumping
unit,
right into
yeah,
this, huh?
we're done introducing. Sorry, Steven. You know,
Tim,
Steven's here.
Ben, Steven, Jessica.
Let's just start talking about poop. This is important.
What do you mean cakes?
Okay, so like if someone's saying goodbye or like leaving a unit, it's similar to like a baby shower.
Farewell gift.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a farewell
Cakes
gift.
of poop when you
Yeah,
farewell.
so like one poop category is a Kit Kat bar, another one is like pudding, and this is what we do. We as nurses,
Of clients' poops types.
patients. Yes, we don't,
Well, your client. Yeah.
whatever.
Stephen and I would call them clients. You call them patients.
Yes,
Ben
so-
calls them an occupational hazard.
So I'm daring you to one up me here. So I'm ready. I've got an arsenal of poop stories. I am ready to fight.
Okay, so when someone goes away, you give them a list of different poop types.
No, it's just like this is a common
For
joke.
all of you up and coming nurses out there,
Not,
this is what to expect.
Well, first of all, for you non-nurse people and maybe non-septic people, you should never invite two nurses. The rule is never invite 2 nurses to a meal because we will talk about blood and guts. So we're gonna ruin your meal. But we have just a million memes about all the things we see, and most of it's traumatic. But when we eat meals, we compare all of the
Food types.
food, anything you're eating, tapioca or
no.
Gatorade or whatever it is. It's gonna
Gatorade
be-
poop type. Gatorade poop type.
That's a poop
Yeah,
type.
any kind of, there's lots, I don't want to get too detailed, but any kind of liquid that could come out of your body, we're going to compare
sure.
to food.
Yeah.
So yeah, we make cakes that there are 7 different categories of poops that you have to chart. And so we have like little different food items representing each poop type.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, your turn.
Well, I don't have any cakes for that.
He's got a whole tank for that.
Yeah, we just throw it all in a tank and call it good.
You don't have to handle it? Okay, well then.
Oh no, we totally,
Ben.
we're elbow deep in.
Tell the story about when Seth got sprayed in the face.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So which one?
Oh, no.
no.
All right. We got some
Which one?
stories. Okay, hold my beer. You pick one, and I'll.
All right,
you got one, I got one. Let's go.
So for those of you that don't know much about the septic world, it's for those rural houses. You're not on city sewer. Usually composed of a tank right after the house. So your toilet's flush, it goes down a pipe out into a holding tank where it then flows to a dispersal unit, otherwise known as drain field. So the drain field will be composed of pipes down underground and a gravel layer. So one of the things we do is we'll go out and, have to inspect these things, and the pipe themselves, sometimes we'll have to cut into them because they don't have observation ports built in. So one time one of these pipes was under pressure and we didn't know about it. Our brother Seth,
What does that mean under pressure? Like it's actively being
it's
flushed?
actively been,
Torpedo.
the pump's running and it's, pushing against nothing pretty much because the pipe's been capped
Full.
off and now it's
Okay.
full of everything. And
Oh no, this is like
so
nursing.
we dig down to it. Seth goes to cut into it with a saw and, it's, bust a pipe that's under several hundred pounds of pressure and
You
get
get
sprayed
AIDS.
in the face. You get AIDS and whatever other sepsis and
We'll come
everything
back to
spraying
that.
up in your eyes. And
and he's not in PPE. I mean,
No, he's wearing like jeans and a
for
sweatshirt. And
for context, you and Seth are what branches of the military of the five brothers?
Seth is Army, and I am. Or
No.
no, Seth is Marines.
Oh no, we're so sorry, Seth.
Seth is Marines, and I was Army.
So neither of you are wearing PPE because you're Army and Marine.
No.
So neither of you are wearing proper PPE. You're cutting into a pressurized tank that actually, I mean, if it was any pressure, I mean, any liquid could actually harm you. I mean, cutting
The
It's like
amount
a
of-
bazooka?
the
Essentially
amount
a
of-
poop bazooka?
the amount
That
of
is more
pressure.
like a poop grenade.
Poop grenade. Oh my
Just,
And
it
on
just
top of that,
explodes
it's
and
septic.
sprays everywhere.
Jessica, how many diseases can be carried in poop?
Oh my gosh.
Too
Let's talk
many.
about C. diff. Well, you probably wouldn't have C. diff. That's a very
No.
a sad infection.
So
but
if you got poop in your eyes and your mouth, what could you possibly contract?
hepatitis,
Most common.
C. diff. Gosh, I don't know. This is putting me on the spot.
Like unlimited.
E.
like
coli.
unlimited.
Yeah.
Literally
I mean,
anything, like whatever the homeowners have, could easily spread to you if they have anything.
But the alternative is it could be really healthy poop and could it like actually increase
There's
your immune
actually-
system. Yeah,
it's-
gut biome.
in our industry, we
So-
call it the poo flu. Within the first month of working in this industry, everyone always gets like deathly ill for like a couple days, and it's affectionately called the poo flu for
Poo
us.
flu,
You get
yeah.
the new
And ever
biome
since then,
from your gut.
everyone has this instant
Immunity.
immunity to
I know.
every disease known to man.
Yeah,
So-
well, that's. I mean, really, you could bottle this if you knew it was good.
You could bottle it. A new
Yes,
business
I just-
idea.
No, but seriously, so I'm not a trauma nurse. I'm a gastroenterology
Come buy my
nurse.
snake oil.
So you're all about
It's like-
poop.
So, well, also I'm a nerd, so I'm also about the gut biome and like fluff, frou medicine. I'm all about it.
Hippie,
Hippie,
crunchy.
yes. So rub some dirt on it. I'm all about rubbing some
Yeah.
dirt on it. But really, in the hospital, this is not frou medicine. This is conventional medicine. We will give people either pills to swallow poop, clean donated poop, or we will go in and inject a poop donation.
Come again?
Yeah.
What?
Transfusion.
Yeah, so, yes,
So
a
do you
poop
tell-
transfusion.
do you
We
tell
will.
them-
with
You
the,
give people
septic
you
systems,
give
too.
people poop pills in the hospital. This
Do
is
you
real
tell
medicine.
them before you give them poop pills?
Yeah,
Well, that it's poop?
because they have usually it's C. diff. It's just this infection that they cannot get rid of with antibiotics, and so we have to give them a fecal transplant. A poop-
From
Yeah.
whose poop?
some
Clean poop.
kind soul that has the
You
cleanest of
Elon
poop.
Musk.
Is this like Is this like a? I
You
mean,
have to- yeah, you
is
have to
there
do
a
like a full-
not a suppository, a depository where you can go grab, where you can donate?
know.
Can I be a donor?
I don't know. I suppose so.
I wonder what the requirements are. To
You
do
have
that.
to eat a
have
lot
clean
of
enough
kale
poop.
before. Yeah.
Okay, I have a list of diseases you can contract getting poop sprayed in your mouth and eyes.
Sepsis,
Cholera.
cholera.
Yeah.
Cholera. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that right.
Just like contract instead of contract.
Escherichia.
E.
Coli.
coli. Yep. All right, I got one
Okay.
so far.
Okay. Hepatitis A.
I got two.
Shigellosis.
Shigella.
Cis.
Oh, I don't know.
Psychosparalysis. Psychosparalysis.
These are all just like different, like
and Giardias.
Giardia.
So,
That's from
WebMD.
cows.
No, well,
Giardia.
it's
So that's
with a,
just the parasite. Is the,
it's with a
yeah.
G. So
Giardia.
Giardias.
I thought I had Giardia one time, which I didn't. But when you get Giardia, it's like this little parasite, and you poop so much that your poop turns tan
My poop is tan.
all
Do
the
I
time.
have
You
Giardia?
have a problem that you're pooping way too much. So I had this problem. I've been a nurse for 8 years. I've called out of work one time or maybe 2 times in 8 years. It's just like you don't do it as a nurse. And one of them was because I went on a hike, drank some water while I was on the hike. I pumped the water through a filter, and it still just made me sick as a dog.
And your poop came out camouflaged.
Yeah, so I Googled, why is my poop tan? And it was like Giardia, which is
Oh,
not
gosh.
true. This is why you shouldn't Google your diagnoses.
Oh, I was just gonna say WebMD. Why do we need you?
I know, it was not accurate. But the next day, I felt so guilty. I still wasn't recovered, and I came into work. And that day we had 2 codes in a row, which I'm not the sharpest crayon in the box. So I always volunteer for CPR, which is aggressive. It's
Awesome.
hard. Yeah, it's like you're doing, as many push-ups as you can in 2 minutes.
But that's got to be super fulfilling too.
only if they
Only
live.
if- yeah.
And,
Okay, fair.
Otherwise, you're living with guilt.
yeah,
that's
for
fair.
the rest of my life. And then you cry in Bible studies all the time when you come back to the Lord. It's
Yeah.
real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And you have to break ribs. So it's just like pop,
Yeah.
pop, 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 pop. Like, oh, gosh.
Oh
yeah.
no! You're strong enough to break ribs by pushing on their chest.
Anyone,
Oh, yeah.
anyone is.
Anybody. That's
well,
It
you're
doesn't
like,
take much.
You
Yeah,
weren't
you're trying to-
you didn't do Boy Scouts, did you?
I did Boy Scouts and I got the first aid merit badge.
You did?
Yeah.
And you didn't break a rib?
What do you mean you didn't break a rib? What?
Did you make-
What kid is coming home and like, yeah, he got his ribs broken for the first aid marriage badge? What? I never
Wow.
broke ribs.
Yes.
Who broke ribs doing first aid marriage
yeah,
badge?
so to do
Wow,
CPR
interesting.
properly, you're like you, especially on an older person, you break a lot. It's just like pop, 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 like on that first. two pulse. Yeah,
that makes
Yeah.
me want to puke.
You got to
Oh,
be able
yeah,
to
for
pump
sure.
the heart manually.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't do that with the ribs in the way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Get those
you
things
reach
out of-
under the ribs. A
Oh,
lot.
yeah,
you
you
just
just
Boy
under
Scouts
the
are
Excuse me,
skinny.
sir. Can you-
Indiana Jones him right into the. You rip out his heart with your bare hands.
Yeah. So the
man.
only 2 years I was in critical care, I was never a good critical care nurse. I just, I'm not a fighter heart. We talked about this in the last episode. So we had 2 codes in a row, and I was just like, and it was a night shift, which I've never been good at. And the second one, I was like, oh, I gotta just go sit in the bathroom for like 10 minutes. I'm like dying. I called out. The only time I've called out the night before, and I came out, and the whole unit, which is like at least 30 people, is just sitting in a circle waiting to debrief about this code.
Oh.
And they're like calling my phone incessantly, like, please come and debrief
Oh,
this
no.
traumatic event. And I just come out and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm very sick.
What do you mean by debrief? What do you have to do for a debrief?
Well, this week is super interesting because like a football player just
Oh
got
my
tackled.
goodness! I watched that live.
And
I didn't
he's
see it
and
live.
he lived, right? Like,
He
He's
lived.
still
I
in
was
ICU, I
totally
think.
convinced he died because
Yeah,
they're
it
like,
looked like he
we've
died
been
right
doing
on.
CPR
Oh,
for
his heart
15
stopped.
minutes.
Yeah, his heart stopped. So he died.
Who is doing CPR on someone for 15 minutes and they're
I've
still
done it.
alive?
yeah, people
Well,
do that.
no. So anytime you're doing CPR, your heart stops. But like, so technically
What's,
dead.
Wait, what's his
technically
name?
dead is
Dallas.
oh boy,
Yeah.
Hamar.
No,
I don't
keep
Wait,
telling.
we
talk
have to
about
figure
what
out his
we
name.
do.
This
I'll
is
figure
this
out
is
his
one of the
name.
complicated things about like when was trying to send text messages from Tahiti to back, or like recapping medical stuff, is like a lot of things are lost in translation of like, oh gosh, what counts as dead?
Damar Hamlin. We just
yeah.
revealed what date we're doing this.
Yeah, so this week has been super interesting because it's Damar Hamlin and Jason Renner, I think his name is, also just got run over
I
by
know,
a
my
snowplow. And
boy.
it reminds me of your...
know.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
he's like in
Great
all these like
actor.
action movies.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
My
But
archer,
yeah, he got-
my archer boy.
Yeah, he
My
got run
favorite.
over by a snow cat in Tahoe or something like that, and reminds me of your dad. He's now flipped down, face down, or was at one point. Anyway, so just because your heart stops doesn't mean you're dead. It just means that
Yeah, but if you're doing
you are dead. You're dead. Your
if you're
heart
doing
is dead,
CPR
but
for
you're not
15
dead.
minutes, you're the only thing keeping them alive.
You're the only thing circulating blood to your brain.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's-
so we
what do
do
you
that
think
for
the point
50
of
minutes at a
CPR
time.
is?
Well, okay, so what do you
That's the whole
do?
point.
What are you like? I'm keeping this person alive. If I stop,
We're just doing
they're
it for the
dead.
song. Dun dun
And-
dun dun. Staying alive. We're just doing it for the song. Is that what you thought?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
The whole
It's a
point of
good
you doing
workout.
CPR is to keep them alive, bro.
Okay,
Yeah.
the
Circulate
Yeah,
that
so
blood.
yes, they are dead. Like, but to declare someone dead is like we have now. So you're just
they
buying.
can't be.
You're
brought
buying
back to
time.
life.
Yes, so you're buying time. You're circulating oxygen through to all their vital organs for them.
So what
while
were
we're
they
trying to
buying
fix them.
time for Damar
Who
Hamlin?
gave you your first aid merit badge? Oh no.
Doctor?
No, don't say it.
Dr. Borden. So Dr. Borden, he's in it.
Borden, Dr.
Yeah,
Borden.
I have the
Oh.
book. I have his book. It's signed.
Oh my
no, you
Yeah,
don't.
that's
goodness.
my-
How do you know
Christmas
Dr.
present.
Borden?
Oh no.
What do you do?
mean you don't?
You got a first aid
Dr.
merit badge
Borden,
and
yeah.
you don't know this stuff?
For shame.
What do you mean? I
No,
don't
this
know
is
this?
advanced. This is advanced stuff. You should
This
not
is
feel
very
bad.
advanced. When you're
Look,
12
I
years
don't know.
old
You didn't
and they're
break
like,
any ribs, so.
Hey, break that kid's ribs.
Okay, well, let's talk about this for a second. I feel like this is another thing in our jar that we were going to talk about, but healthcare is so complicated. There's about 1 million things you could do. So you take a 12-year-old,
I've seen House, yeah.
Yeah.
outdoor.
I've watched The
wilderness.
Good
So this-
Doctor.
This is actually something very similar of like, as soon as I became a nurse, all these emergencies kept happening every time I was on vacation. And my boyfriend at the time kept being like, oh, my girlfriend's a nurse. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like the first time
Is
I
there a
went,
doctor on the plane?
yeah, that literally happened. And I was like, I can't. It happened a couple times, actually. Actually, sorry, we got to just keep going into this. One time I was on a overnight red-eye flight on Frontier. Someone had a medical emergency, and they're like, is there a doctor? This is like 2 a.m. So
Is that how they sounded on the thing?
yeah, all medical personnel, please come to the back of the plane. So I like look around for two, like 1, 2, 3. Gosh, no doctor is going to take a red eye on Frontier. Okay, so I get up to the back of the plane. There's like this poor girl who's like 300 pounds, who's collapsed by the bathrooms back, but right over the engines. And the nurses are like frantically putting on oxygen and like calling the doctor down and, you know, down on the land. And I'm like, oh man, they didn't prepare us for this in nursing school. And all of these
And you can't break her ribs because there's 300 pounds.
Well, so
between
before
and the
you could
ribs.
just start pumping, which I have done on people in the hospital, if I'm not sure if they don't respond to a sternal rub, I'll just start pumping. And some people like open up their eyes on the first.
Because you broke the ribs.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm still
that
shocked by
has
this.
happened.
I mean,
That's happened. You don't break everyone's ribs, but that's
hey,
happened
you're
where I've
not
done like.
waking up. Let me break your ribs.
Yeah,
to
there's
wake you
all
up.
these like, things you can do to wake someone up. And like, you get really good as a night shift nurse, like
Pinch them.
awkwardly staring at people while they're sleeping and seeing if they're alive, which I do to grandma now. It's really weird.
Man.
Like,
no.
I know you're alive. You're okay.
So Graham's going to come to church with broken ribs. One day.
No. Yeah, I have done that to people in the hospital where I'm like, I just cannot get them to respond. So you do one pump and it doesn't break their ribs, but they'll wake up and then they'll be like, my chest hurts. I'm like, yeah, honey. Just trying to break your chest. Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, man. So you're on the plane with this 300
So
pound girl.
on this plane, like young 300-pound
And
girl,
she's
all
passed
these
out.
eyes, all these eyes are looking back at me on the back of the plane.
The one doctor, she can
I'm like,
save
I'm
us.
barely a nurse. And they want me to do this manual blood pressure over the engine, which you do a manual blood pressure one time in nursing school to pass, and then we go to automatic in the hospital. We do not use manuals. So manuals you have to hear with the stethoscope. It's this little like bum, 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 like a whisper. But it's over these like engines, and she's quite fluffy. She's quite large. So it's like a nice nursing term. So I can't even find like a pulse because like it's kind of hard to find, and I'm just like panicking. Like
Even on like the neck, like where
yeah, you
your
can
big
do the
boys
neck.
are?
You can do. There's lots of different spots
Where did you
to check.
do it?
I did the wrist. I did the neck. I did all of the spots. I didn't do the groin, which is a good spot. But I just could not. And I'm also trying to pump, and I'm trying to talk to the nurse, and I'm trying to look at all these eyes that are looking at me. I'm like running through like.
Can you tell that she's breathing or she's
So the only thing
done?
that I had is if you sternal rub someone, it's like you're pinching their collarbone. It's like this super annoying pain. She would like flutter her eyes. I was like, okay. At some level, she's getting oxygen to her brain.
So you knew she was breathing somehow.
I didn't know she was breathing. I couldn't like tell her chest rise. I couldn't tell like I didn't put my hand over her mouth because I was so busy trying to get a blood pressure. Because the doctor in Chicago is like from Colorado to Virginia. The emergency stop would have been Chicago, and the doctor just wanted vital signs. I was like, dude, I cannot get you vital signs right now. I've been trying for like 3 minutes. I just know that she's getting oxygen to her brain.
Okay.
And so after like, it was probably like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, I was like, I think we just need to get her some juice. Like, I don't know what the answer is. Her heart's working. Her lungs are working. When I like stimulate her.
WebMD says juice.
Yeah, I was like, I got nothing here. And thank goodness she was just type 1 diabetic and had drank a bunch of alcohol, which dips your blood sugar really low. But they made me sit back there for the rest, like 4 more hours and monitor her
After
there.
you got her juice?
After we revived her.
4
Yeah,
more
so we gave her
hours.
juice and she woke up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get a free flight?
I got a free soda. They got my life.
Wow.
Soda's already free. Well, no, not on Frontier.
So we saved them from like tens of
Spirit.
thousands
it's not
of
free on
dollars.
Spirit, but you got a free soda
Yeah,
Well,
I mean
and
they
you
would
saved
have.
a life.
and a liability.
Well, yeah, she probably could have gone into a diabetic coma.
Yeah.
And we would have
You
rerouted.
saved your destination. Yeah.
More
Yeah,
importantly,
so
the
what's-
liability for the company.
Yeah, well, they got my license number.
Yeah.
and then gave me a free soda and asked me to escort her to the EMT.
Yeah, of course.
But what's crazy about that day is then we landed, I took a nap, went to a wedding, and there was a cardiac event, like a great aunt or something had a cardiac event and passed out on the dance floor.
This was a trial by like
Yeah, I was like, I
post-student
never
for you.
want to be a nurse again. So I had to like go and be a part of that too. And thank goodness there was another cardiac nurse that knew what to do. But I was just like, I am done with today. I'm never doing this again.
And this all ties back into the episode on poop.
Yeah, we stopped talking about poop. Oh, I should.
Blood and poop.
Yeah, blood and poop. Okay, so I feel like I should tell you.
The
Yeah,
gross episode.
Tell us your story.
All right, I got one. This is my
One
campfire
story,
stories for
and then
years
we'll end
and
this
years.
campfire story.
Yeah, well, I'll have two stories. One blood,
Okay.
one poop.
Okay.
So for years and years and years, I just climbed with, former military climbing hippie knuckleheads. So this is my go-to stories. My first year of nursing. This is fresh off the boat, like very sweet girl. So the poop story is, so in nursing, it's like a really big deal if you let someone fall to the ground. Like the hospital will not be reimbursed if you let someone fall and they get injured. Someone can crack their head, they can die, all these bad things can happen.
Even if you're not in the room.
Even if you're not in the room, you strip away people's freedom and you put on a bell alarm if you have any doubts about their security.
Yep, I remember that. When I was in the hospital for my stroke, they had an alarm on the bed and on the chair. So if I moved like an inch, released enough pressure, the alarm triggers. And then there's like 5 nurses rushing in, yelling at me to lay down.
We
Can't
could get
do
sued.
anything.
So if you don't have insurance, what you want to do is jump out of the bed and fall on the ground.
No, it has nothing to do with insurance and you don't get any of that money. So
okay.
definitely don't touch the ground in a hospital. That's a bad idea. All that list that you talked about with the grenade poop will happen to you.
Fun.
Yeah, no, so I was just this brand new nurse. Everything made me terrified. All these bed alarms, haunted my dreams before I really did a code, and really learned the bad sounds. But I think a senior nurse asked me to come help because I'm like this big, strong, burly girl. So all the heavy patients, I'd be asked to go help a patient move. And so we're walking this guy from the commode 2 feet or 3 feet away from his bed, walking back, and we're both on either side trying to lift him and steady him. So he's a couple feet in and he just starts shaking aggressively, kind of eyes wide looking at my senior nurse, and I'm behind him and I'm just preparing to catch this 200-pound man. And we we learned this as nursing. Okay, plant your feet, put your leg forward, let him slide down. I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. So I'm
And you're 90 pounds, so you'll just get crushed.
I'm pretty sturdy. I'm ready. I've been training my whole life for this. I'm ready to catch this man, and he's shaking violently. And all of a sudden, he just starts pooping. And just as a reaction to preparing to catch him, I scoop under there and catch his poop like a soft serve ice cream. And the senior nurse is just laughing hysterically at me because now I'm committed.
He's
I don't know if I
naked.
should let it. It's a good solid 30 seconds.
How are
where
you
I've
catching
committed.
his poop? Is he naked in a
Well, you
hospital
always have
gown?
backless gowns, but I've seen probably 10,000 butts in my life. It's impressive. I did this math in 2020 when my job was on pause. How many butts have I seen? Yeah. Anyway, so now I've committed to this 30-second, slow, soft serve ice cream where my senior nurse is just laughing her head off because I'm like, what do I do now?
I can't just drop
He's
it.
halfway. I can't just drop it on the ground, so I just have to wait there until it's done. It's oh, what a Bambi nurse. That's so sweet.
It's so precious.
So precious.
Never do that again.
So and then my blood one is also my first year of nursing. This is so interesting. Such a sweet, sweet man who had hemophilia, which means that you don't make your clotting factors. So if you get a cut, normal people will make clotting factors. It'll
Ben
scab over.
And Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leiden factor
Yes.
9.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Ben, you have Leiden factor 5?
Yeah, I don't have that.
I thought you had that.
No,
Who has it?
Dad.
Outside of Dad.
We all agree that Ben has it. And if we all agree, then
I got
then
tested.
he has it.
I thought you had it.
And I don't
for
know if
He did
you've
get
been
tested. He did get tested for Leiden factor 5, and they said no.
Sure. So Dad's the only one that has it.
But
Unless
the
you
doctors
have
were
it.
liars.
Have you been tested for it?
We should all
Do you
get
have
tested.
proof for it?
I have not been tested for it. No one else has been tested for it. Ben got tested for it because he almost died.
I can do a free unofficial test that doesn't matter if you have insurance.
You
If
just
come-
cut us.
Cut
You just-
yourself. And if you
really
bleed out,
stick
you
my
have it.
You just want an excuse to stab us.
or just see how big of a bruise I can make. Just Charlie horse you as hard as I
So
can.
anyway, this guy can't.
Anyway, this guy
have
cannot
blood
clot,
clots.
so
Yep.
he has this little tiny cut in his armpit, and it just bleed for 3 days. And so I was like,
3
this
days.
young,
Oh.
Good
yes, and there's this young naive,
How
I'm trying
big?
to
How big is this cut we're talking about?
teeny tiny, like the size of
And
a
it's just constantly going.
yeah,
Oh,
just
that
constantly
sucks.
going. So
Usually,
I
the smaller the cut, the quicker it clots.
That sucks.
yeah, but he
for-
doesn't have those climb factors, right? And this poor guy, so I started off nursing in this like very inner city hospital in Virginia. So this poor guy, got HIV from a blood transfusion. Just this really, really sweet man. But back in the 70s, we didn't.
Who's donating blood with HIV?
In the 70s, it was new. We didn't know
Oh,
to check
no.
that in blood.
Oh no.
And so this poor guy has just like been like dragged through the mud by our healthcare system. And so I'm like, as this new nurse trying to fake it till I make it, just like shoving in, like, I don't know if you've seen this on the field, in the army, like they have like clotting powder and clotting
Yeah.
bandages that you just like
Yes.
slap on them.
Saving
So I'm just
Private
like
Ryan.
Quick
making,
Clot.
yeah, Quick Clot, yeah. That's one of the brands. So I'm just like shoving this in his armpit over the course of 3 days till it's like, he can't even put his arm down on his side. And I'm like calling all these services, and there's always like bureaucratic, red tape in the back scene of like, oh, this isn't my patient anymore. We're the surgery team. I've signed off.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm the blood doctor. This isn't my problem.
And the
I'm
blood doctor is bleeding.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
this seems like it's in your field. But so I'm just like, for 3 days kind of watching it, shoving things in his armpit and trying to get anyone to come and look. Finally, I get some doctor to come, and without asking for pain medicine or any kind of patient care, he just sticks his finger in the armpit and scoops out 3 days worth of clotting.
The
Stuff
patient
that
or the doctor?
The doctor shoved it in the patient's armpit, and I'm standing behind him, and this shot of blood just
No.
goes straight to my face, and I matrix the shit out of it.
Oh,
Just
no.
like dodged it. This HIV infested blood.
Oh,
and I was
my
just like,
gosh.
come on, dude. Can you just give me a warning?
Oh wow.
Or give
Was
him some
that,
pain
like,
medicine, that poor guy.
Procedure? Was he supposed to remove the clotting?
He's just a
No,
young,
he was just like, I
young
can't see
doctor
what
who
I can't see what I'm doing. I gotta get all this
doesn't know
stuff
what
out
he's
of the way.
doing. Yeah.
Report that guy.
No, we can talk about that later.
Yeah,
That's for another
generally it's the
episode.
nurses that do this stuff.
Oh, I did have to report some doctors in
Yeah.
2022
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
20 whatever the COVID era. But
Yeah. Wow.
we can
Well,
talk
what a
about-
great blood and poop
Yeah, now you've been introduced.
session.
I feel like you have more. I feel like I, stole the mic away from you, Ben.
That's fine. I'm not much of a
Oh,
talker.
poop grenade. Come on. Now's your chance. You have all these stories.
Seth got
Daily
sprayed in the
life when you're
face.
elbow deep in mountains of poop, and it's like that scene from Jurassic Park where the what's her name sticks her arm in the dinosaur poo pile, and
So
This is nursing. We have so much to talk about. Oh, my goodness.
Just for reference, when you are Tim and I used to work in dead bodies.
Yes.
And I have a couple
In the
stories
business
about
of
that.
dead bodies. Yeah.
Poop and
Please
blood.
tell.
Body snatchers.
But just for
Bum,
reference,
bum,
I
bum.
used to do electrical work with my cousin, and we would wire up septic tanks. And before the septic tanks even open, we can smell it.
Oh, no.
And
like brand new septic tanks?
No.
Oh.
No,
Oh, yeah.
like, hey, our septic tank's failed. We need you to come fix the wiring.
Oh, yeah, because it all went up to the surface, right? That's probably why it failed.
Failed, or whoever the previous electrician was, didn't wire it waterproof. And so when the pump starts pumping water or whatever. But you can smell it. And so then we take the tank off, and it's absolutely abhorrent.
It's just
to the point
atrocious.
where he's like, go grab a gas mask. And so we're wearing masks and gloves
I
and
mean,
everything.
technically you should be.
Yeah.
That's proper PPE for septic
And
work.
then I
think,
start seeing
yeah, if
Ben and
you're
Seth work.
going by the regs, you're supposed to be wearing a hazmat suit. 'cause
Yes,
it's all
yeah,
hazmat
because it is
Oh,
actually
my gosh. How
hazmat.
miserable would that be?
It's
though?
miserable.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not
like
in
a
the business,
swamp
it's miserable.
suit.
But for someone
Yeah.
who's prior Army and Marines, this is just
Like,
everyday
just a little
life.
poop. It's
It
probably
doesn't-
clean.
Smells like a
No.
Friday morning.
No. Like,
It'll keep you from ever getting sick again.
if you've ever walked into the bathroom where someone's like, don't go in there, I just destroyed it,
Oh,
You walk in there, it's 10 times worse than that. before the lid is off. And then you take the lid off, and it's like, oh my goodness, my eyes are watering.
My
Everything
nose is
horrible.
burning. I'll
And
never smell again.
Ben works in this business, and so talking about the poop flu,
Ben owns
you
this
must
business.
have gotten something because that's absolutely insane. Because the smell,
He just can't smell it anymore.
That
if
is
you're
true.
if
I
you're
have lost all
smelling
sense
it,
of smell.
that means the particles
And it wasn't
are already
COVID.
at you.
It wasn't COVID. He just lost all sense of
Doesn't
smell.
that taste?
Smell and taste, yeah.
Smell and taste.
I don't know.
I do feel like I was already awkward, but I'm a little more awkward of like, gosh, this happened at a Bible study recently, like where someone was like, oh, what's that musty smell? I'm like, I don't have a sense of smell. Gosh. So
You
people
don't
are
have
like,
a sense of smell.
well, I mean, it's just like your brain
You're
is
so
changed.
desensitized.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like if it's not like
Whatever.
infected C.
Let
diff
this be
poop, then
a
or bloody poop, I don't
Commercial
know what it is.
ad for the branches of service and career work
Don't
as
get
nurses
into
and
nursing.
doctors.
Don't do it.
Don't do nursing doctors. Don't join the Army or Marines.
Yeah, or the septic business apparently.
But it pays well. I mean,
Oh,
It does
yeah.
pay well. Yeah,
It pays.
Pays to poo.
yeah,
Pays to
yeah.
poo.
That's
Everybody
true.
does it.
Everybody does it.
Your
It's
number
And
2
for-
is our number 1.
For
number one business. Our number one business.
I love that.
Is your
And
number
for
two.
a few select people, the elite poopers, you could donate your poop for possibly money. I
Yeah,
don't know.
clearly.
If you're
I'm just
Fecal
learning
vegan,
this.
transplant.
and
Kale
you eat really
eater,
healthful,
kale and
healthy,
quinoa.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll have to do more research on those poop pills that you feed people in the hospital and come
Yeah.
back to that. So, all right. Well, that has
It's been great. Oh no.
that is not what we wanted to happen. We're back, and we'll start this off.
Era in the 90s where we had like a bargain brand thing that, normally I think there's, I don't know, streaming services that just chop out parts of like sketchy scenes, like the tit scenes or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we had it where it would say a bad word and it would just blank out all the sound for that sentence and then put in the subtitles, I am up to my toe in this investigation, or just like terrible. So like,
Some horrible translation.
yeah, and our like criteria, I think growing up, we could watch all the violence in the world because we just kind of self-censored ourselves. Like I couldn't watch, but not any like nudity or anything like that. So we like watched The Matrix all the time, and it was just half of it was silent. I had no idea until I like invited friends over. I was like, oh,
There's
this
sound.
V-chip is so
Oh.
embarrassing.
Bring, 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 bring. Hello, yes, this is a phone call you've been waiting for. This is the time where you need to pause this episode right now, go use the bathroom, get back to the exit that you just missed, or do something else productive with your life. I cut this episode off for interesting reasons which will show itself in future episodes with multiple disclosures. However, if this is a moment you've been waiting for a pause, please take it now. The second part of this episode will begin right now.
We're talking about Tiny Adventures Down Under.
Welcome back to the binge-worthy 20-minute podcast episodes of Anna Vivo, where the four of us sit around and do some shenanigans from the jar. Steven is pulling one now. I am your host, Tim C. Miller,
Wait.
AnnaVivo.com.
Let's talk about treasure for like
Yeah.
10 seconds.
We
I'm
were
so
just talking about
disappointed.
treasure off the air, and
Okay.
now you want to
Yeah.
continue treasure on the air?
Good banter, man.
Who wrote
Tiny Adventures Down Under.
All right, Steven, what do we got? What's our topic?
No. Let's talk about treasure.
Okay, draw another.
What? Don't draw
No.
another. Do that one.
I have one side. It's written.
Okay.
The other side is absolute garbage.
Oh, it's on the back of my old notes
All right.
from my
Okay,
agenda
all right,
that I ripped up
okay.
because I was done with today.
I see.
Which-
So you wrote the real note on the sticky side.
Yep.
It's like you took a Post-it note
I
and
did.
you cut off just the adhesive side, and you wrote what you want me to read just
Look
on the
here.
adhesive.
I-
Look here, Adventures Down Under. Just read the
I
note.
use
What
my
does it
sticky
say?
notes as temporary tasks for the day, and when I'm done, I rip them apart. And so I had the backside of it, which is the sticky part, to write the topics for today.
All right. Bucket list. Weirdest actual.
Oh, weirdest and actual. So this was Jess's idea, suggestion for topic of we want to talk about our bucket list, and on both the actual, like maybe things you've done or that are actually on your bucket list, and what weirdest, like, or the most outlandish
That will
bucket
probably
list things.
never
That'll never
happen,
happen,
yeah.
right? Okay, cool.
This is a hard one.
Yeah,
I
should
feel
we
like
just?
we should just talk about little adventures down under and treasures on top of Machu Picchu.
Oh, you want to skip right over to the traveling one?
Yeah,
No, we can't do
and
that.
any treasures
Nope.
that are down in whatever.
No, we
what
can't
were
do
those things
treasure.
in Yellowstone?
Sorry, we're not doing treasure. Listen,
All right.
you're
All
in
right,
an
refocus.
office that looks
Focus.
like Indiana Jones' office. I've got 12 maps in
That's
here.
right. Bucket list.
And one of
Okay.
the maps in here that you can't see, by the way, is a map that I purchased from an old antique store off the coast of Santa Barbara, California.
I forgot.
And you
guys
know
are-
what?
That's
Was-
the murder capital of the world.
I don't know about that, but do you know what the map is that I got? The map was a 1929 map of all of the known mine shafts in Southern California. Well,
You can't say
Southern
shaft
and
on this show.
Central. Southern and Central. Sensual? Southern and Central California. And so there was probably 68 on there in this map that I'll break out later, and has all of these old, and they're
You're
the
just
key.
gonna spoil them to the whole.
The key thing was about this map is that they're all unexplored.
You're
not-
gonna spoil them.
and so you can kind of go explore them. So
I was always super jealous. Speaking of nerdy things, that you guys geocached growing up.
oh, did
It's
you
just like
not
as like a
geocache?
It's a
nine.
very small part of our childhood.
No, don't ruin it
that
for
was
me.
a small part of
I'm
Steven's
serious.
childhood. It was a large
No.
part of my childhood because
It was Seth. It was really Seth. And then one year he bought as a Christmas present a geocache subscription, because you have to have a subscription to.
no. So Steven Alvarado and I got into it back in middle school and in high school.
when it was free.
When it was
and
free.
lawless.
was
Back-
it?
back
Did
when
it not stay
VHS
free?
temp-
No, it didn't stay
tapes
free.
and stuff.
Oh,
And so,
So
when
then
it
you had to
became
buy
a
it.
paid subscription,
Oh.
Seth bought Dad and Mom a subscription to geocache.
Oh, this was much after my time. I think I was back in the clink two stones together time.
Okay. No.
Yeah. When it
Back
was, like,
when they were hiding it
authentic and
in-
real.
Dead
yeah, we were
bodies.
definitely treasure hunting. It was cool.
Yeah, I
was
was
a good
really
time.
jealous as like a 10-year-old or whatever I was, 9-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
man, these kids are really cool. They
Yeah.
really know what's cool in life.
Yeah, but they also had GPSs that we
Not
didn't
back
have.
then.
Yeah,
Not back then.
you just had to solve clues.
They-
Anyway, that's not the topic. What's the
Okay.
topic?
Bucket list
Bucket list items.
The
Ben?
most outrageous and
Ben, what's the most
actual.
outrageous thing on your bucket list?
YouTube subscription.
Premium.
Yeah, I don't think I even have any bucket list.
Ben.
Didn't you go
Oh.
okay, let's just talk.
That's
You
not
just went
bucket list
scuba
items.
diving in Mexico like a
Oh
year
my
ago,
goodness,
right?
Yeah.
that was beautiful. We saw a barracuda.
No way.
Yeah, it was
Well, no,
awesome.
no. Let's
Did you
clarify. You
snorkel?
three
It's-
saw barracudas.
you
Ben
three
didn't because
saw
Ben
barracudas.
was up on the
I
surface.
You're
was-
drinking pink drinks on the sand?
No, so I was trying to do the scuba diving thing, whatever, but our instructor gave me the wrong weights.
Let me premise.
Oh, so you were
let
just
me
floating up with the
I started
jellyfish?
out
She was
floating.
snorkeling with
let me premise this
scuba
with,
gear.
when we signed up for scuba diving, they're like, "Hey, you can sign up for scuba diving. Fill out this, whatever contract agreement form.
Waiver.
Have you ever had a stroke? Have you ever had a blah blah? Have you ever
Heart
had everything?"
conditions,
All of these
All
things
these
which Ben
things.
has.
all the medical
I plead
things
the
you're
fifth.
supposed to.
I plead the fifth.
And Ben
I plead
has
the
had
fifth.
all of them.
Ben's an
No.
army
No.
veteran
This
for
is
those
Mexico.
of you tuning
This
in.
doesn't count.
Ben's had all of these things.
and then we go and then we get on the boat and we're putting on our like tanks and everything.
Is this in Cancun?
This is
Yeah.
in Cancun.
Okay, the
Yeah.
like world class,
It is
multiple
awesome.
stories of coral.
It was
Continue.
beautiful. They have the whole art museum there and everything.
Underwater art museum.
Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. And then we get on the boat and we're all putting on our tanks, and so it's Gunnar, our cousin, Jake, our cousin, and me and Ben, and we all get our tanks on, and somehow Gunnar, Jake, and I get in the water, and Ben's stuck on the boat behind all these other
You
people.
know how hard it is to move on a boat with one good working leg
and flip flops
flippers on?
Yeah.
That's also let's just preface this story that Ben was an army veteran and knows the importance of a buddy system, and the three of you clowns don't.
Left me behind.
You just
Yeah.
abandoned your shipmate there, buddy.
And so when they send us down, it's one at a time. You got to like depressurize, and so they send you one at a time, and they follow you down, depressurizing all the way to the bottom. And we get to the bottom, and we're all holding on to like this ring. That's everybody wait here at this ring.
What noobs?
We'll wait till everyone gets here, and we're waiting, and groups come down, And we're like, where is Ben? And they're like, let's go. And we're like, where is Ben?
So I mean, I have a whole video of this. It's actually pretty funny to watch.
We'll attach it to this podcast, this episode.
But yeah, he gave me the wrong amount of weights. You know, you're supposed to, someone of my size, you're supposed to have like 40 pounds, whatever, of diving weights. Someone of Steven's weight class, you're supposed to have like 15 pounds, 3 pounds to hold him down. So he gives me the wrong weights to start with. So immediately upon entering the water, I can't go down. I'm just hanging out on the surface, struggling with all my might just to go below the water. And eventually the instructor catches on, pulls off his weight belt, which is an extra 70 pounds worth of weights, slaps them into me, and then I immediately sink to the bottom. So the entire time I am struggling as hard as I can to stay off the bottom.
And they tell you not to.
Yeah, they tell you
don't touch the coral.
Touch the bottom. Don't touch the coral. Don't
You
disturb
will ruin
anything.
the earth. Don't do it.
It's a national crime if
Yeah,
you
it's
disturb
like
the
major
coral.
fines if you get caught like disturbing the coral.
And this is Mexico, so major crime means you'll never be seen again.
And this video is of Ben kicking the coral, like walking along the coral.
Wow. Because you're just
He's got
dragging.
70 pounds.
I am just
Pounds of
struggling
weight on
to
him.
stay off the ground at this point because I have an extra 100 pounds worth of weights on me. So yeah, it's
Like, great, you're gonna
it's-
just have a
everyone
double time
was
workout.
was watching cool things, seeing barracudas and sea turtles and whatnot.
So the point of this story is
I'm
your bucket list
struggling.
item is not fulfilled.
I think Ben also, his pressure gauge for his like diving, it tells you like how much pressure you have in the air tank, so you can see how much air you have left. Like the gauge is locked into your tank, and the seal to the gauge was leaking.
Oh.
And so there's like
kind of a big deal.
tons of air bubbles coming out. Like
No, it
my
was-
gauge,
They have the extra respirator
Mm.
attached to the thing, the emergency respirator.
there was
No. It was
something
leaking.
There was something that was attached to Ben's tank that none of ours were having issues with. That Ben's tank was leaking immense amount of bubbles.
It could also be that I was overexerting with all the effort needed
No,
required.
no,
It's
because
extra
those-
oxygen was
Basically, just a
required.
Navy SEALs test that
Yeah,
they're
this
like,
is what
"Great,
happens when you
let's-"
throw an army guy in the water. So
Right.
So we're down there for probably 5 minutes, and then the amount of bubbles coming off of Ben was like so big that the air dude, the whatever instructor that was with us, looked at his air pressure thing and was like, "You're almost out of air." And the
Oh,
rest of us had
no.
another like 30 minutes to go.
Oh.
And they're like, "You're almost out of air. Get to the surface now."
Oh,
And so
boy.
I think they brought you.
yeah, they brought me and I think someone else up
Yeah.
to the surface.
And the rest of us just kept going.
Like, see ya.
Again with the buddy
You
system.
should have just, the trick with scuba diving is you just gotta barf in the water, and all these fish will come around you and eat your
Oh.
barf. It's just like this party.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's this party favor that
What's
like
wrong with you?
the,
Well,
the life of the party. All the
you ever seen a bunch of fish underwater?
Come and see the fish.
speaking about barfing underwater in Cancun, Ben.
Oh, let's just it's none of that's really bucket list. So
Yeah,
let's just
yeah.
move on.
That's
No,
that's
did you
a
guys
separate
get
story.
to snorkel with the whale sharks?
No.
No, we did. We bought we went to a package deal hotel where it was like everything's
Lame.
included. Yeah, but when we went there, they're like, "Hey, if you buy this thing, we'll give you scuba diving for free." And so we did that.
But you also jumped into the Cenotes.
Cenotes.
Cenotes, yeah.
Cenotes.
I did not
Cenotes.
because
Someone partied a little
when
too hard.
when we
that
went
day.
scuba
that's right.
diving, I did we did training in the pool.
That's right. I forgot about your ears.
The pool was full of like poop and everything else
Mexico.
known to man, and so my ears got infected. And then Gunnar went out of his good heart, bought me ear medication, which makes you nauseous, and gave it to me. And so I was clearing my ears with his ear medication, got nauseous. I was about to puke, and we had to ride an 1.5-hour bus ride to the Cenotes. It's like I can't sit on a hot bus because we've ridden the buses all day long, and they're not air conditioned, and it's like a sauna in there.
Oh yeah, my kind of life.
You poor soul.
And so I knew I would throw up everywhere. And so I backed out. They all went to Cenotes, and they saw
Cenote.
some
So no
dangerous
kidding.
creatures like
Little baby sea turtles.
And
No, you-
salamanders.
Cenote? Oh wow.
they saw what did you see? The giant freaking spider. You took a video of it.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
They're like everyone,
tarantulas.
everyone, we're here. Let's take some super authentic shots of
whatever natural tequila or whatever.
that they made right there.
Oh,
Mezcal.
cool.
Yeah, stuff you're not allowed to import.
And as they're taking the shots, giant freaking tarantula comes out, and everyone freaks out.
Wow.
That's awesome. All right,
Right.
so Steven, what's a bucket list item for you?
I would.
One you've done and a crazy one that maybe you might not.
Oh, one I've done. I haven't been very many places in the world. The things
Well,
on
bucket
my
list doesn't need
bucket
to be
list
going
is travel.
places.
That is my bucket list.
Is travel.
The travel. Where would you go? Like, if you had all the money in the world, all the safety, didn't care about tarantulas, whatever.
So I have two bucket list items where I want to travel. One is Greece.
Oh.
I want to go from Egypt all the way through Greece, Italy, and
You just want to play Assassin's Creed Origins.
exactly. I want to see all the history from like the dawn of time, and just see all the history portray itself in their structures and everything.
The
'Cause
architecture.
Egypt
it.
has a ton of architecture, history. Israel, Greece, Egypt, Italy, all that stuff. That's like my major bucket list that I could probably do while I'm alive.
You went like from ancient all the way up to the Roman real quick there.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
you want to just see that all.
I want to see it all.
Okay.
Yeah. And my main bucket list, the one item that's most important on my bucket list is when I die, I want to die in space.
Oh.
I want to
Oh, I
die.
love this dream.
That's
wanna
how you
die-
want to die?
I want to die running out of air in space,
Mm.
looking back at the world. I
Is that
think
like The Martian? What movie would you
like
want to see?
Gravity, where
Gravity
she
with
leaves
Sandra Bullock.
Brad Pitt
Mm.
behind, and she's like, "I'm out of here," and Brad Pitt's like, "Wait," and Brad Pitt dies in space.
Okay. Interesting.
I think that would be the coolest thing.
So
Just to
that's-
get to space would be the coolest way to die.
So if we do a trip up there on Blue Origin,
You can kill me.
and you're just gonna kill yourself because you're like, this is it, I've reached my peak.
Well, Blue Origin, the thing about those things is you pay like $150,000. You go up in a capsule with a bunch of other people.
You could still kill yourself in a capsule.
and you go up in 30 minutes and you come back down.
Sure.
It's basically the same as flying one of those zero gravity flights,
Yeah.
which is half the cost.
Right.
I'd rather be free walking, spacewalking.
Oh, you guys are gonna love the sky diving thing Mom and Dad got you guys for Christmas.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna love that. Ben said that
I'm
he
totally
would
gonna
not
love that.
pee while I'm above him.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It's still gonna whack you in the face.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter.
His puke and his pee is gonna whack me in the face while I'm above him.
One of those eye fly experiences.
They're pretty fun. Have you done it before?
No,
I am terrified of heights.
me too.
Which is,
me too.
Yeah.
Ironic because Ben was slated. He was in airborne school and jumping, and you're terrified of heights.
That's when I developed my fear of heights.
Yes.
Well, people have died doing airborne school. They put you in
People
towers.
die from everything.
They
Yeah,
put you in
people-
towers.
people
and
die
they
from
drop
doing
you from the
podcasts.
towers.
Yeah, people die from podcasts.
People don't die
Steve.
from podcasts, but
I
people
can,
die
sure,
from.
I can Google and find something.
Yeah.
Alright, well,
We might be the first.
But yes, people do die because malfunctions.
Jess,
Oh man.
really awesome one you've done before, and one that's you may never get to, like dying in space.
Gosh, I love space too. I really want to get the stick and poke tattoo in another country.
excuse
Oh
me.
yeah.
Oh,
So my ankle is that in
No
from
way.
Japan.
Oh, you're too cool.
I'm not cool. It hurt, and it wasn't. It wasn't as. I mean, I got it with 2 other dudes, so it wasn't. I mean, it was a cool experience.
how
and
did
was-
it turn out compared to your other tattoos?
To be fair, I messed it up because I
You're
went.
flinching.
No, I went snorkeling with Nate in Guam right after, and I got black sand in the hearts. The tattoo itself is a Jesus fish with 2 hearts. That are supposed to be red, and now they're black because, unlike the needle gun method, which is obviously more advanced,
But it's exactly the same thing as stick and poke. Needle
no,
gun.
it's
But-
It's sticking and poking.
but
A
it's
lot
more
faster.
a
It's
lot faster.
right,
A lot
but
more
it's
hygienic.
more yeah.
It's
and
It's
it-
more of a poke
Adaptive.
and stick than a stick and poke.
Oh,
There you
Right.
go.
Thank you,
There
Ben.
you go.
Thank
I
you.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
So the
difference.
point is, it didn't heal as fast as my other tattoos, and I went swimming in the black sands of Guam and got
So you're saying that
my hearts are black.
tattoo technology is advanced in the right direction because stick and poke obviously is slower and less effective.
Well, it's a cool cultural
Yeah,
experience.
it's so much more meditative.
Yeah.
So
That's
meta.
your bucket
so
list?
meta.
Actually,
You
the
wanna
guy
get a
has to be
second
you have
po-
to be artistic to do it because your hand has to be steady enough and consistent
yeah,
enough
to be as
do
good
that.
as the technology we have nowadays.
Sure. Yeah. So it's an artistic
lot
and cultural
worse.
kind of thing.
Yeah. So
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah.
wait.
So anyway, so that's
your
your-
bucket list.
That's your bucket list is to get a stick
There's
and
so many bucket lists.
I feel
It's
like there's a lot
insane.
of judgment coming from the
I
person
am
that wants to
judging,
So much
die in
judgment.
space.
Tiny people and down under. tiny adventures.
So why? So okay. So start over, Steven.
Oh, I have way too many bucket lists. I
but
feel
the
like
one
this
you
could be-
want to do is
She wants to get poked and sticked.
from a tattoo, and then
You guys are real gentlemen. I
And then-
appreciate it.
and then the one you've done before
Oh man, gosh,
or a favorite.
Tahiti
Favorite.
saving her in-law or uncle. And
that was
aunt.
pretty brilliant. That was pretty great.
You had that on your bucket list. That seems
Bucket
kind
list, yeah. Please get into an accident so I can have this amazing vacation.
of yeah.
Gosh, one of my favorite outdoor. I am not prepared.
It doesn't
for
have
this.
to be outdoor. That's a different topic.
You
Oh,
want to
okay.
climb Everest?
I do have some great. I mean, so sorry, things I've already done. Thailand. I went to Thailand. That was super fun. Went for a couple weeks and.
Cool. What
Yeah.
part? You flew into Bangkok?
She's
I
just
did this, like-
flexing. She's flexing.
No, I liked it. Where? So what'd you do?
Did this whole tour around. So I went with some friends that had not traveled for a really long time, and the last time they traveled were hospitalized. So I was like this super detail oriented. I
Wow.
planned out every day of the trip. I was
Good for you.
I was pulling a Tim.
Yeah.
I was ready. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did all the emergency contingencies, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we
You're
did
pulling your mom. That's what that is.
well,
Slash me.
but there was fun. So, Mom, please don't listen to this. I love you. So there was one point where I was really irritated with my friends because they kind of turned it into this Instagram honeymoon thing. I was like,
Oh.
I'm done with you guys.
Yeah.
So I split off from the group and rented a moped.
Oh.
And yeah,
What part of Thailand?
gosh, that was up.
North Chiang Mai, elephant.
So not Chiang Mai, it's Chiang Ro, I think is the name. So it was from Chiang Mai to Chiang Ro, I think. So it's like a 2-hour drive on this moped on this giant highway. Kind of snuck in, paid my $3, hiked up this mountain, and they're doing slash and burn farming. So it's just smoke everywhere, similar to this past summer here. And there you pay $150 for a tour as a foreigner. So I get up there and the sunset is epic because there's so much smoke. So it's like a sunset and then over top.
All orange.
Yeah, it's just like a sunset after a sunset after a sunset because it's setting with the smoke instead
Yeah.
of with the horizon. Also, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm in this place I really am not supposed to be. These other photographers and people that paid for a tour are kind of looking at me like, what are you doing here? So I, go back down the mountain and try and sleep in my hammock. And it's actually pretty cold because it's this wet cold. And I love sleeping in the snow. I
You're
love cold,
in
but
a hammock outside.
yes, in a
No.
foreign country
In the snow?
by myself. No snow, but I love camping in the snow. I'm okay with cold, but this is one of the coldest nights I've ever
I
experienced.
can't believe that you're in the hammock outside.
Yeah, in this tropical. Shut up.
You have a thing.
Okay, geocacher,
you have a
tiny
rain-
tiny
No.
adventures down under.
Anyone who
Don't
goes
make fun of me.
camping, hammock camping, has a thing over them for rain and snow. Do you have that?
Well, it's a tropical place, so I was like, it's not gonna be cold,
Oh man.
and there's no snow there.
Okay.
I'm getting my
Okay.
stories confused. There's no snow. Anyway, I come back down after a very cold night, oddly, in a very tropical place, and have this breakfast soup with this water oxen just grazing the
Oh,
field.
cool.
Yeah, this family serving me this pho or whatever, and
This pho.
which is Vietnamese, not Thailand, not Thai, but whatever. It was just just a very sweet experience. And I was like, suck it, friends. You
Yeah.
guys take your Instagram photos. I had a great adventure.
Cool.
So, yeah,
That's
that was my-
insane.
And you were there for
That's
how long?
insane.
3 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good.
That's awesome.
Wow. She's a vegan.
Shut up. Shut up, you. Just go die in space.
So that was one of the most fun ones that you've
I
had.
can't.
was
That
a good
that
memory.
sounds super fun. I can't believe
I'm just
that.
going to tweet it.
What did
No, I'm serious. That sounds super fun.
What did-
to be able to hike up there and then camp down there and not have anyone interrogate you about like, why are you here? Why aren't there, why aren't you with like a crew or business? Or
It was fun. And it was like, so then I took my scooter and drove these back roads for like 3 hours to Pi, I think is what it's called. I don't know. And it's just like super back country, like a little sketchy. Definitely like wrecked my bike a couple times. It was like, yeah, it was a good time.
That'd be really cool.
What is one that you're looking forward to?
Oh, other than the stick and poke,
Yeah, other than the tattoo cultural art experience.
yeah, I mean, I would like to go back to Tahiti for a couple months and do some climbing and scuba and snorkel there, and maybe some stick and poke there. Definitely some luau's.
Are there mountains in Tahiti? to
There are
climb?
some jagged peaks on all the
Really?
islands, yeah.
Oh.
But climbing on an island is super scary because all the salt water, or the salt in the air, just erodes the rock. So it's really fragile rock. I don't know if I have the skill set for it at this time, but. that'd be
Well,
cool.
you know what the hospital system's like, just in case.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good plan. Just
Yeah.
pay
What is
little
she, a
visit.
dog or a cat? Oh, she's a mouse. All right. let's-
I need my rabies shot. I'm ready.
depending on which island you're at, yeah. Cool.
Your turn, Tim.
Yeah, Tim.
Bucket list / a story that you have.
Yeah, I don't know that I have, I had a bucket list in high school and I got rid of it because I'm pragmatic and I didn't want something hanging over me all the time. And it was like, oh, I'm never going to achieve this and just feel guilty. So I never got one. So I just sort of go out and do things. And I've had, it's, you all know, just a blessing of a life to be able to do so many things. But one of my favorite was probably with your sister. Yeah, Machu Picchu.
In Peru? Okay, I
Peru.
want to hear this. I've been waiting a
You've
decade.
been waiting a decade to hear this. You've heard this story before, but we opted to take the train instead of the hike, which is not you. I know if you were on the trip, you would have been like, "We're hiking. This is awesome!" And in
all
my
the cocoa leaves.
yeah, and we did have
And
cocoa
ayahuasca.
leaves, and we had that. We had all that stuff. It was great. Helped you get high. And
No way, you didn't have that.
no, the part of the tour is the cocoa tea to help you acclimate to the altitude. But we took the train. We opted for the train because I was planning the trip and I was with two ladies, your sister and Mimi, and I wasn't sure. Are we going to do 4 days with llamas or are we going to do this other awesome experience, which is this really cool train along the river with a glass dome roof. And you get to see all of the mountains, and you go to Agua Calientes, the little town at the bottom, and get massages and eat guinea pig steaks. And it was a cool experience. And then we got all the way to the top and, just explored the ruins. And we saw some other ruins in other parts of Peru and then flew out. So it was just I was coming from Japan. So it was a long flight for me from Japan through Panama and then into Peru and then back. And then I think Mimi and Lauren were getting married soon. And
Shortly after, probably.
Shortly after, yeah. So it was
Not to each other.
not to each other, yeah. They were
Your
getting
respective
I was gonna
gentlemen.
say Mimi is a
perspective.
male name.
no, both of the ladies were getting married shortly after at some point.
So
And
they chose to go on an adventure in the South Americas with a random
Pre-honeymoon.
guy.
not a random guy, their cousin. That was fun. That was a
I've
cool
been
trip.
pre-mooning for years, okay? It's a good strategy.
The other favorite ones we did is we did a baby moon with our babies after they were born. And
Aw.
all of the parenting blogs, you read all of this nonsense and people have, everybody has their own opinion, but a lot of the standard American opinion is, oh, do all your traveling, get all your excitement out before you have kids because then your life is over. And that's such a horrible mindset to have and a very negative just depressing way to look at life. And so we got their passports within 3 and 4 weeks of them being born. I mean, rushed passports, their faces look like potatoes. They're good for 5 years somehow. And trust me, from week 4 of birth to age 5, they're obviously entirely different,
Still potatoes.
different
don't believe
children. Totally look, 100% different. But we got to go to Mexico. We took, and that was with Eloise. We took Oliver through Panama and out to St. Martin, and massive iguanas that were larger than him on the beach, and went snorkeling. We haven't actually done anything with Henry, so Henry's going to be listening to this years later and wonder why. But he had some medical conditions that we needed to take care of first. So we've done other adventures with him domestically. But yeah, it's been a good. Lots of traveling.
What's the bucket list you want to go on?
The bucket list I've always wanted to do for a while now is take Grace to Japan and show her the Sakura Festival, the Cherry Blossom Festival in April. And we are doing that in 2024, spring of 2024. So
I've always wanted to do that too.
You want to come?
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Does she know about that, or is this going to be a spoiler?
No, she knows about it.
If you are going to that and you have an extra spot, you don't mind me coming? I
No,
would love
we
to
have-
Go that.
That wouldn't be
We're not-
awkward at all.
We're not going to pay for you.
Yeah, awkward at all. No, I'll come with you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 10-day trip. It's $3,000 per
'Cause
person or
there's only,
$6,000 for a
like,
couple.
10 or 15 days that the cherry blossoms are going, right?
No, it it kind of depends on the year, but generally mid to late March through early May.
So you could show up for a week and it could already be over.
Right, but then you'll go to other parts of Japan where the climate just hasn't caused the blossoms to fall yet, or hasn't caused them to bloom. So it kind of travels across Japan, and so you sort of just plan for centrally the time, and then you go and follow it if you want to follow it. And all of them they're different, not only different climates, but there's several different species that bloom at different times. So it's just they do a good job of making sure it lasts.
How does Mount Fuji compare to Rainier?
Ugh, I hated Mount Fuji.
Really?
That I will not do that again. No. And I would not recommend that to anyone on this
hike it?
listening. I won't hike it again. It was an awful experience. We got up early in the morning and before the sunrise, and we went up there and got to the summit of Mount Fuji for the sunrise, which was cool. And they have ramen shops at the top of Mount Fuji. And if you've been to Japan, you know they've got these little vending machines everywhere that have hot and cold drinks, which are just amazing. And that's a cool experience. But then it's a volcano. So instead of a zip line, Japan, take note, a zip line that you could charge us all bukus of money to go down and we would do it. No, instead of that, there's like 6 hours of switchbacks and volcanic rock. It's not 6 hours, but it felt like that. To come back down.
Oh, to come back.
It's this beautiful hike that you go up past these boulders and other little shops, and you get your hiking stick stamped all the way up, and it's a cool experience on the way up.
Hiking
if you
stick stamped.
Yeah, you get a hiking stick if you look behind you there in my Indiana Jones office here. That long hiking stick has a bunch of stamps on it, just the plain wooden one.
He bought it on eBay.
And there's stations everywhere you go. And I have a shorter one that has all of the stamps because I'm part Jewish, and I was like, this is a scam. I'm not getting all the stamps. So on this one, I only have the top stamp, that one that you see there. Like the final one that's like, you made it. The shorter one has all of the other ones on it.
It's
But-
so octagonal.
Yeah, you need these, and you think, oh, I'm not going to buy one. And then they give you one more chance to buy these at the very top because you see everyone going down.
To buy all of them all at once.
No, to buy a stick to go down because you see them sliding in volcanic rock. It's a switchback
Can't
all the way
just
down the mountain.
Go back down the way you came.
Nope. It's a one-way only. This is Japan. Everything's very efficient. It's really cool on the way up. You see a string of lights ahead of you because there's thousands of people or hundreds of people with flashlights and lanterns going up. And so it's a really cool hike that you see. You're following all these lanterns of people going up to basically worship and experience this sort of spiritual sunrise and things like that over Japan. Really pretty. Then you go down, and it's all these switchbacks of volcanic red rock that you just sink into, and it takes you forever, and it kills your body, and you need that walking stick to get down, but they could install a zip line. So for that reason alone, I mean, I don't know how many
You could just
hours.
hike up with a wingsuit.
Oh, I like this
Yes.
idea.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to get out of the septic business, I'll go in with this.
Need I remind you, I am terrified of heights.
You're selling them.
I
You're
would
not
not do it.
So you're saying
I recommend it for others.
the co-owner has never tried out his own business? No, but I recommend it for all Japanese.
I highly recommend it for all the Japanese.
What's this
tourists
other
here.
super dorky wizard's
Hey,
walking
that
stick?
staff is not
amazing.
dorky. Pull it out.
That's his Eagle Scout staff.
The one with the sea turtle.
Sea turtles are mine.
Yep.
That's his Eagle Scout
All
staff.
For casting lightning bolt spells.
Yeah. Tim painted all the signs in a place, and now he's an Eagle Scout.
That's how it works. I broke some ribs first on a kid doing first aid merit badge, and then
No way.
I painted all the signs at Fort Casey.
That's
This
for
is
achieving.
super dorky. The more I look at it, the more dorky it gets.
It is
No.
not dorky.
Look
Read
how
all the inscriptions.
detailed-
I am reading the inscriptions.
Look how detailed that sea turtle is, though.
Yeah, and that's wood.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
That's my favorite
It
animal.
is impressive.
Is a sea turtle.
And so Tim achieved Eagle Scout, and my dad said to him, "Hey, I'll get you a staff
Be
Yeah.
prepared.
Yeah, be prepared.
because he's an
That's
Eagle
our.
Scout."
That's an Eagle Scout. That's a Boy Scout motto.
Yeah. And so then, who was it? Nate made it Eagle Scout. Didn't
Yeah.
get a staff.
No, Nate got a staff.
Tenderfoot
What did he
second
get?
class.
Nate got a
A
staff.
swordfish.
Yeah, he
No.
was
Nate-
tenderfoot. That's when he first started hiking.
What did Nate get, Ben?
And he had
Yeah,
tender
he
feet.
got a crab.
No, he got a staff, and it was something. I don't know what his animal is.
I
Yeah.
don't think Nate got a staff.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
a
only
small
you did,
No,
ladybug.
there's two of
you
us that got a
were
staff.
the favored child.
That's
No,
not true.
Nate did not get a staff, and then
We're gonna
Ben
revisit this episode. Nate
made
got a
it-
staff.
Made it to the end, didn't make Eagle Scout. Seth made it to the end, didn't make Eagle Scout.
So then you didn't make it to the end.
By
I
the
woke
time
up to the facts that it's a corrupt organization. And I do not feel like I want that haunting me the rest of my life.
By the time I was getting close, it was Gunnar and I were
Stephen
both
is the youngest in
in
the
Boy
family.
Scouts.
Yeah.
We were getting close to Eagle Scout, and the one organization that was fueling all the Eagle Scouts, it was Lions Club.
Mm.
They're like, "Hey, we're gonna pay everyone $1,000 if they make Eagle Scout,"
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing that for years,
Can I do that?
right?
You can
Too
now.
late?
You can
They
now.
take
Yeah.
36-year-olds?
No,
Just
no,
That's just
identify
just
as an
Air Force.
18-year-old.
Ah, yes.
The Lions Club was like, "We'll pay you $1,000," and then by the time I was like a Star Scout, they were like, "Nope, we're not doing that anymore,"
Star Scout.
which is very close.
This
to
Is
Eagle
a
magical.
Scout.
star child.
Wow.
I know. I was basically a brownie.
don't throw that shade at me.
I had
like
a brownie.
Daisy and a
I had a
brownie.
brownie once. That's from Without a Paddle. I love that movie.
And so they stopped doing $1,000 giveaways for the Eagle Scouts.
And that was your incentive, was the cash.
That was the incentive. Yeah. What else?
What about the merit patches?
What
Yeah, the merit
what about 'em?
patches.
Look at okay.
Yeah,
90s
merit
girl-
patches.
90s girl didn't get to whittle the wood and like have the little
You
cars.
could have.
Oh, my brain
car
hurts so
racing
much
and-
right now.
You just identify as a boy. You could have.
That was
Whittle
what-
the wood.
90s. You couldn't
merit
do that.
patches? What is
I
happening?
tried. I had the bowl cut. I tried.
And so they stopped doing $1,000 giveaways, and I was like, "This is
Was-
ridiculous." I didn't think about like future aspects, like, oh, your job really does look at Eagle Scouts, and
Yeah.
the Navy or whatever, the
military.
military really does look at Eagle Scouts.
Yeah.
I didn't think about any of that. I was just like, "Where's my money?" So I dropped out. Yeah. And
Did-
so
you just
Tim-
have the quilting patch.
yeah, I have a quilting and a rifle patch because I shot a lot of rabbits.
I'm proud of you.
Tim's the only one that has a staff.
No, Nate has a staff too. I think it's a seahorse, but I can't remember. I'll have to ask Nate.
It's manly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I want to. It's not a seahorse. Maybe that was
Hey,
my.
I love the
my
seahorse. They
Maybe that was my runner-up. is
Yeah,
the sea
reproduce
turtle.
with themselves.
They birth,
No, that's-
they incubate their babies till birth.
was Rich in
Males do.
Scouts?
He was in Scouts, yeah. So my family is 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
So love the Millers and the Boyd dynamic. The Millers, had 5 boys raised by Bev,
Yeah.
and
Beast mode. Beast mode.
and,
Bev.
and the Boyd family had 3 girls, 1 boy raised by my dad, Mark. So we just did martial arts, and all the girls were dragged to Boy Scouts, but we couldn't partake. So
that
all of
sucks.
the archery, all of the fire
you're just
building.
watching Rich do all
I
this
just had to,
awesome fun
sit-
stuff.
Yeah,
Aw.
like soapbox derby, like all this fun stuff. This is
Really?
his time to shine. Yeah.
Oh, soapbox derby was the best.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
You didn't get a partake
Probably
in
makes up for all the
No.
bowling you did on him. So.
Yeah,
We did
that's
some
true.
bowling. Yeah, it does. I don't know if it really makes up. We really bullied him hard, but he turned out great because of it.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
to,
because of it.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
why. Cognitive dissonance is what that's called.
He earned his ability to have a wife.
so not to change the entire subject, but
I think this whole subject has been changed from
Yeah.
the original.
Listen, bucket list. I remember when 2011 happened.
2011 happened. Wow. What was
Oh.
2011?
2001 or 2011?
Yeah.
I'm gonna retract my.
I was gonna say,
previous statement.
what happened in 2011? Because we all remember that.
Yeah, not an important year.
Okay.
When 2001
Ah,
happened,
there we go.
and I was 5 years old,
Oh my goodness.
and my mom was like, I was watching on the TV the stuff that was happening. You guys were getting pulled out of school.
Ben and I
You're talking
were
about 9/11.
Ben and I
So,
were
yeah.
fighting.
No,
9/11.
the other major event that happened in 2001.
Yeah.
You guys are fighting?
Ben and I were fighting at the time to save the Pentagon.
What? Okay, you
Yeah.
guys tell your story of this
Go ahead,
weird
Steven.
event,
Go
and
ahead.
I'll tell my
They
story.
were fighting with Legos. And
Oh, okay.
no, I
No,
remember
Ben and I were in school. Yeah, we were in middle school.
being home, and we had this little boob tube, and I was watching on the boob tube, and all of a sudden my program, whatever I was watching, shut off, and this came on, and it was like, this is happening right now, and I was like, I don't understand anything what's going on.
All
And-
I know is my show was shut off.
yeah, and Mom was like, Ben and Tim, and I think Seth also was in school. No, not yet.
This is in Washington.
This is in Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah.
And they're all getting shipped home right now. And I was like, what's going on? And then years later, Mom told me a story about your mom.
Yeah, isn't this crazy?
This is crazy. And so I was like, there's no way any of that's real. And so I've told so many people about your mom.
What have you told them? Because
You know that
to
was
me
classified.
it's crazy.
That Jessica's mom should have been in the Twin Towers.
Correct.
When they
Well, not Twin
crashed.
Towers, the Pentagon.
Pentagon.
So my mom's super smart brainiac, should be in space. We should just encapsulate her brain and send it in space to the aliens.
Yeah, bucket list.
Yeah. But super brilliant woman, worked for the Joint Chief of Staff in a certain part of the Pentagon, and she had to leave the Pentagon to pick me up for an orthodontist appointment.
So you
Thankfully.
I
saved your
saved
mom.
my
You
mom,
saved
my
the
crooked
mom.
teeth. Yeah. And she, as she was leaving, she looked in her rearview mirror because, you know, it's terrible traffic around there. So you're kind of just sitting at a standstill. And she
Yeah,
looked in her.
especially when planes are crashing. into
Yeah,
the
so
building.
this plane was like flying super low, and she just thought to herself, wow, that is a super low flying plane. And just kind of watched it and saw, she didn't see it crash, but she saw the smoke like plume, and it hit the part that she would have been working
That's-
in. Isn't that
that's insane.
insane?
So
That's
for
why-
all of the conspiracy theorists that say no plane
hit the
hit the
Pentagon.
Pentagon,
Yeah,
we
it was
have
live viewed
an
by
aunt
witnesses.
Yeah.
slash mom.
Yeah, so then we,
That
you know,
was-
we
didn't have
finished
cell
my
phones at the time
orthodontist
to film
appointment.
it.
Yeah, we finished my orthodontist appointment. All these like, you know, ladies have their hands in my mouth. I'm just like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," and they're just telling me that, oh, a second plane hit, like, oh, the Twin Towers. Like, this is not a random occurrence. And we just go home and watch, you know, the news for like 24 hours or something like that. My
Did you
siblings,
realize that your mom was saved?
I knew. Yeah, she told me.
She's like, I was supposed to be there. That would,
yeah,
that would
she-
have been me.
Yeah, because I was in 9th grade, so I was like
Okay.
14 or
Yeah,
something.
You're like 40 years old.
Yeah, right.
You're up there. in age.
You're being sarcastic, but I'm not far from 40. Yeah, so yeah, what a crazy time.
That is crazy.
What a crazy time for the rest of us who were alive, except for Steven, who was
I was-
watching PBS Kids. and
At
who was
the
just
time,
you were
I-
angry for other reasons.
It's like, where is Elmo?
Yeah.
But then later on, I was like, this is the craziest thing because I've had so many kids come up to me in school, in high school, and everything else. Like, it was a scam. It wasn't real.
Mhm.
Blah
Isn't that
blah. It's not real. I was like, my aunt watched it happen.
Watched the plane
she
pretty much
watched it
yeah.
because I've heard that story a ton of times. I was like, she watched it happen, and she was supposed to be there, but I didn't remember the reason why she wasn't there.
Orthodontist.
Yeah,
it's
an
an
orthodox
important
thing.
detail to remember.
So I was just like, no, and so forever there's been so many people, close friends of mine, they're like, Bush 9/11.
We just
Didn't
went to
happen. Oh, I dated someone like that. I'm like, yeah.
We just went to a wedding the other night. Very beautiful wedding for our neighbors who are getting their daughter getting married. And on their wedding announcement, it gives like little stats about their lives. And they're born in 2001 and 2002. And I was like, they were born in November or something, 2001. I was like, they weren't even alive, and
They
these
don't
people are
even know.
getting married.
Yeah.
Like they're reading about this in history
How
books.
old do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah. So cool. Well, that was so. How was that related to bucket list?
We missed, you know what we missed? Ben told us something, but he didn't tell us what he wants to do. as a bucket
What do
list.
you want to do,
didn't.
Ben?
I mean, I don't really have a bucket list. The only times I go out and
Ben, if you had
see the world nowadays is when Tim drags me along with some promise of a birthday present or something.
I don't drag you.
Ben, if you
I
had
just force you to get in the plane.
unlimited funds and you could go do anything you want to go do, even visit space, what would you want to do?
Yeah, space, Ben.
Yeah,
space.
Space.
Outer space.
Go see the world.
See the world.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, because I don't really think about it.
You wouldn't want to go visit some One Piece museum?
Ben
no.
really likes water activities. He's got this really cool
I do like
snorkel.
water
What do you call it?
activities.
It's not a snorkel.
It's
It's
called a hookah snorkel.
a hookah snorkel, and it's got a
It's
30
air
foot,
compressor on a float with a hose attached to it.
30 feet.
It's, it comes in different sizes.
And it's cheaper than going to fill
It's-
up
yeah,
air
it's-
tanks.
And you don't need
air
training,
tanks, you don't
special
need
training or
any training.
a
licenses.
scuba
Yeah.
license for it.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
not as heavily regulated as, actually, it's not regulated at all.
And Ben's the only one that will go out in the water with me to do that
Well,
kind of stuff.
because you
You
guys
mean
go out in the
you're
water
the
in
only
the
one that will
middle
go
of
out to the water
December.
with me.
Wait,
This is
what
what
did
they
I
were
just say?
doing, by the way, when their parents were in an accident. They were just like hookah walking along the bottom of the ocean / like building this weird raft.
I love
that-
It was
Snorkeling.
November. It's
I
like
love snorkeling.
35 degrees in the water.
Yeah, but I love
There's
it, and
almost
Ben's
ice
got enough
forming.
insulation
I got
that we're
enough
fine.
natural insulation on my body that I just don't feel it.
Glug,
Yeah.
glug, 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 glug. Oh, how'd you get hypothermia? I don't know.
Anyway, Ben's getting rocket-propelled arms, is what he told me.
Well,
That'll
speaking
be the
of
next major buy.
speaking of natural talents underwater, you can go to Iceland and gosh, there's some sort of scuba diving there that's like the only place you can scuba dive between two continents or something.
Whoa,
I don't know. It's not like the most.
like a shelf, continental shelf.
I don't know. Gosh, you're a Navy guy.
If you're scuba diving,
I don't know. I don't really remember the details, but it's not as cool as Cancun. That's like one of the wonders of the world. It's not cool scuba diving, but it's like, oh look, I put my foot in. Two
One of
places
those,
kind of thing.
you can say you did it
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of experiences.
You could do that.
Yeah, I don't. It's I don't. If I had to travel somewhere, I would like to probably go out and see the different cultures of the world. Like go, experience something Asian or go experience something
Come to Tahiti,
European
get stick and
or
poking.
African or whatever. Just see the differences between the world. But that's not going to happen because that's very expensive.
one of the coolest trips I did was with Ben to Normandy. And we went to the 75th anniversary.
They had some good cheese there.
Ben loves cheese. It was great. That was the best place. That was
75th
actually one of my
anniversary of D-Day, right?
75th
In
anniversary of D-Day.
Normandy, yeah.
And we were in Normandy. And we were there for 12 days. And we had a private tour. It wasn't one of those big ones. And we stayed in these chateaus and did the St. Miraglise, like that big Elvish-looking
Castle out
Catholic.
in the ocean.
What?
church out in the
French
ocean.
You ever see
major.
a
I'm not
picture of
aware of
that?
an Elvis.
Elvish-looking,
yeah.
Elvish. Okay.
Elvish-looking
All right, okay. We're on the
Catholic
same-
church
Yes,
place
okay.
where we stayed, and there was all the World War II history there, which Ben loved, and we were trying to figure out Ben's unit and history, because your unit history is gliders. Is that what it was?
My unit I was in the Army was the glider units that were dropped in on D-Day. So they would tow these
Basically
giant,
all died.
pretty much planes, just without motors or anything. They would tow them behind the bombers, and then when the bombers were flying over, they would drop them off, detach them or whatever. These gliders would come glide in, supposed to land on the battlefield.
Supposed to, keyword.
Supposed to. Drop off all the troops and the vehicles and whatever else they were carrying. The problem is they would drop the gliders and then they would nosedive because they were overweight or, something other malfunction. So, it was like
Get
1
gunned
out
down.
of 5 gliders actually landed.
So we saw the
So
cool
it was a
history.
total botch
Yeah.
job.
But we saw the history there, which was really neat. We got some awesome food. The chateau lady that kept it up fed us just homemade jam and butter and everything every morning, and on croissants, and we got to tour all the really cool stuff, and
That's awesome.
that was a really cool trip. Yeah, I would love to do that again. The history side of that, I like that stuff. Like you're talking about, Stephen, the
Sign me
history
up.
of, like the history of
Egypten
Egyptian history, or
Greece,
any of that kind of
Italy.
stuff. Like to see it in real life versus reading it in a book. Like I like that kind of.
because it.
I don't know how to spell that place.
Which one?
Mericles.
Heracles.
I'll let you Google it sometime, but it
Saint
is a pretty unique
Heracles.
looking castle out in the middle of the ocean.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah, Elvis established it.
Elvish looking. It looks like every time I see it, I say, "Oh, Rivendell from Lord of the Rings." But it was built out on this rock initially, I believe, if my memory serves me right, and I've been hit in the head multiple times, from the Normans and the Vikings. Initially to defend, and then over the years, I mean, it was like 900 or 1100 or something, and then over the years was built up and built up and built up all the way until where it is now, which is basically a tourist trap, but also a really prominent Catholic church and village. And in World War II, they used it, and from the chateau we stayed in, you could see it, and they have this massive tapestry. All their stuff is, the history is hand sewn in this tapestry, and in the chateau we stayed at, they had this beautiful tapestry of that place and how the Germans came in and used that place and the chateau as sort of a headquarters. And
Did you
kicked
do
everybody
a
out.
Saving Private Ryan tour?
No, we did see the big
My
buses
brother's
that were doing that. We saw the big buses doing the battle Band of Brothers tours.
They looked miserable.
They looked, it was not. I mean,
It's very rushed. You got 5 minutes to see something, and then you got to get back on the bus and go. And
it's cool if you want to see a lot in like a little bit of everything. But we had this just a blessing of a tour guide. We're gonna do that again because that was awesome. And he partnered with the other guy that he did, who drove us around. We're just the perfect match because the tour guide was like, "Go, go, go! We're gonna do all this history." And the other guy was he was a white glove Mercedes driving chauffeur for a living, like what he did. And so he had like all these people skills and was like, "Oh, let me help you and let me get this." And so between the historian who was like telling us all these amazing facts and telling us all this really cool history and running us around everywhere, and then this guy who was like, "Let me get all this," it was like, man, awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Can we all hear your son playing?
Yeah.
piano?
Oh, probably.
Is that coming through?
amazing.
Maybe. Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
For all of those listening in, my son is practicing piano
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
outside of the home office right now where we're recording.
Can we?
All right, so that's the.
No, can we talk about Yellowstone?
Well, that's the next episode.
No,
You
we're
want to jump to that?
Yeah, we're at 50 minutes,
Okay.
so we might as well finish the hour out.
We're rounding the
Yellowstone
hour
is
out.
pretty magical.
Okay, let's
Okay,
round it out with
can
Yellowstone.
We start off with Tim is going to Yellowstone
Oh.
next, and then Jessica and I both have experiences in Yellowstone.
I'm going there?
You went to Yellowstone?
No. I
Oh,
mean,
is
I've been
that-
there as a kid when our parents drove through there.
I have heard rumors of Tim going to Yellowstone.
I'm going to the Jedediah Wilderness and the Grand Tetons.
Grand Tetons is
Oh.
literally Yellowstone.
Okay, I
Yeah,
understand. what
right
you're
next
saying.
door.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
What is a Jedediah wilderness?
It's this massive protected
Some white guy named Jedediah.
wilderness that's old Mormon country, but it's this big old national park outside of the Grand Tetons that does this big backpacking loop, 40 miles up into the Grand Tetons, and you have the llamas actually carry all your gear, and then you do high alpine fishing up there in these pristine lakes.
Cool.
So, yeah.
And so I'm asking because I want to know who you're going with, because the rumor has it you're taking Ben.
Well, no, I tried to take Ben this last trip on the.
Need I remind you, I don't do hiking.
That's
anymore.
why I tried to take you on this last trip, which was whitewater
well, so you
rafting,
sit-
so you could
you
just
just
sit in the
sit.
raft and come with us.
I have a bum leg.
And you said you're not going to do that, so Steven came instead. So
Sorry, some of us work for a living.
So
we all work for a living, but you could have come for 4 days
I don't work for a
whitewater
living.
rafting.
Podcast for a living.
So you're gonna go hike the Tetons, and Ben, are you thinking? No, you're
I'm
not.
gonna go ahead and put the pin in that one.
When is that? I would do that.
That's in August, the first week.
Aren't we going to
That's the third week.
busy little bee?
Come on, people, get your
Yeah.
dates
What
straight.
is this about? We all work.
That's August 1st, and we're going August 2nd. Differentiate.
What's
So-
your experience in Grand
Yeah,
Tetons?
you guys wanted to talk about Tetons. What's up?
Yeah,
Or you
well,
went to
we gotta
Yellowstone.
round off this hour here. So, I had a girlfriend who ended up being an ex-girlfriend. Obviously, every girlfriend ends up being
Just
an
for
ex-girlfriend.
all of those listening in here, I am married happily with 3 children. And the 3 guests today are all beautiful,
Super
handsome,
amazing
and
single.
I am
single.
happily single
And they're all single and looking. So
and not looking
continue, Steven.
content.
I was not single at the time, and we went to Yellowstone, and we had a whole week planned out. Let's visit the Tetons first, and then drive all the way up through the Yellowstone, and visit, the entire Yellowstone.
Drive through the Yellowstone. Is it a thing? Is it one thing?
It is one thing. Yeah.
The
Well,
Grand Yellowstone.
I drove through the Yellowstone.
You get to the Tetons. So we got to the Tetons. We did Mormon Row, which is
Wait,
like
did you
this-
drive to the Tetons from Washington?
Yeah.
Just like 20 hours.
Yeah, we drove.
Okay.
So her car. Oh
In
my
what-
goodness!
in the
I
summer?
love her car. Let me talk to you for probably 30 minutes about her car.
You all can tune out now.
She had a Ford RAV4. No, Toyota RAV4. It drives
That
itself.
is an amazing car.
I have a Toyota RAV4.
You do?
I do.
What year?
It smells like potatoes because
What?
I've camped in it so much.
Okay.
And left potatoes around it.
A Toyota RAV4 2020.
I have a 2011 because I'm old.
Yeah, okay.
But it's
so
great.
The 2020, what's great about it is
Who
it
buys a car in 2020?
her dad for her because she's one of those girls that lets her dad pay for her for everything. She says she's anyways,
Still happily single.
still halfway single. Her
Steven.
car is amazing because it lane assists and it cruise control assists.
What? Mine doesn't have that.
My
I
Kia
know.
does that.
No,
My
no.
Kia is half the cost.
Kia is absolute garbage
Garbage.
at any of those things. Lane assist, it's garbage at.
This podcast sponsored by Toyota.
Cruise control, it's garbage at. Anyways, so she had a
Kia, half the cost, and my hands do the same thing.
No,
You I went in 2019. You went in 2020.
I went in 2020.
What month of 2020?
Whoa, it's
How
like you guys
far-
are related.
Yeah. How far into this crisis were you when you decided to take a road trip?
I can.
The world is ending.
The world's ending. Let's just go to
We got this
Yellowstone.
awesome new car. Let's do it. I mean, that's what my trip was too. Like,
Was it
my
really?
world- Well, I mean, I just broke up with my ex.
Wow.
I was like,
You broke up with your ex. Your world is ending. You're going to the or the Yellowstone. Steven
like
is
probably-
about to have an ex and goes to the
Yeah,
Yellowstone.
it's the place where relationships could
Okay.
die.
2020.
I'm going with a bunch of dudes, so
I think
Good.
it was.
Hopefully.
Don't start a relationship with any of them
hopefully we'll be
beforehand.
all right.
I think it was August.
August of 2020. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were
I
like
I
8
just
months
had to
after
search
mine.
my text message. So you were there that year.
October of 2019.
Okay, so you go first.
No, you go. We're
Okay.
talking about the Toyota RAV4. This
right.
is pretty much the same story. I'm loving
Toyota
it.
RAV4. We had to drive forever to get there But her RAV4 does lane assist and cruise control, and most of those roads, you know, from here to Yellowstone are
Adaptive cruise control.
straight. Are just like
Just listen to like
hundreds of
nerd
hours.
space podcasts for 20 hours.
So we're doing anything we want to do because the car is driving itself. and so
80
I
miles
just
an hour.
Not recommended, by the way.
honestly, I just put on cruise control and I put on lane assist and it's just going. And anyone who pulls in front of us, it doesn't matter because we just slow down to their speed. And then we're staying in the lane. We go through turns, whatever. It's just driving itself. And so I'm basically just watching YouTube the whole time.
I'm surprised there's internet in these parts of
is,
the wood. I'm impressed.
It's all data on his phone.
And so we get to Yellowstone. So we get to the Grand Tetons. We go straight down to the Grand Tetons. And
Jenny Lake.
Jenny Lake. And so we pull in, and the first place we go to is Jenny Lake. And so we go to Jenny Lake, and we see...
Did you get the hot springs there?
We didn't. No.
Okay, continue.
We saw 3 bears. We go on a hike from Jenny Lake up into... There's this big loop that goes from Jenny Lake up into the mountains and back down. It's about 4 or 5 miles. We do this big hike. I forget how many miles it is. But we see 3 bears. And the first thing
Grizzly
we see...
bears?
I
It's like
don't-
one of the few places in the contingent, USA that
One
The
of
thing
those
is-
Yellowstone bears.
we
that they
saw...
just feed candy bars until the tourists come.
a picture of like grizzly bears, brown bears, and the other type of bears. I
Black
forget.
bears?
Black bears.
Polar bears.
Yeah, polar bears. We saw
Gummy bears?
all 3 pictures of those, and to be honest, they all look the same.
You have not nerded at my level then.
Exactly.
I quiz myself on the different pictures. in my
Exactly.
spare
So
time.
when we saw it, we didn't know what type it was. We were like, I don't know. But there was a group of people that we're all hiking with, and a lot of the people were just like, oh my goodness, it's a mama bear walking by. Giant mama bear. And we're all taking videos of it. And they're like, oh my goodness, it's a whatever, grizzly bear or whatever, brown bear. Nobody knew. And then they start walking in between the mama bear and its cubs.
Oh, yeah. Keep filming.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. Someone's going to get mauled right here. Someone's going to just get absolutely stumped. They're going to turn into a stump right
It's like
here.
they've never seen The Revenant.
And so Mama Bear walks by,
Which I saw
and
in
they're all
pictures.
videotaping, and a lot of the group comes and follows the Mama Bear. And they're following the Mama Bear and breaking the Mama Bear off from her cubs
Oh.
who are following her. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And the little cubs, and I have a video of this, and the little cubs start running off towards the Mama Bear. And then the park ranger runs in, and he's like, no, everyone out. Because he's like, he knows what's gonna happen. He knows someone's gonna get mauled,
Yeah.
blah blah, and he starts kicking people out. He's like, everyone out. And the cubs start running by, meet up with the mom, and I was like, this is absolutely insane. So we do that, the Tetons, blah blah, and then we go through the Yellowstone. So we spend a couple days there camping, and it's all like first come first serve camping. And so we spent a few days camping there at the Tetons. It was absolutely beautiful because the Tetons are the most beautiful place in the entire world.
Mm.
And then we go through the Yellowstone and we see just
Through the Yellowstone.
All the geysers and
absolutely beautiful
Old Faithful and-
scenery. Old Faithful was
was it
absolute
Morning
garbage.
Glory or something?
Yeah. Old Faithful is nothing. If anyone is like, Old Faithful is the greatest thing in the world, it sucks. So we go through everything else. We see just the animal life is really what I was there for. And we saw foxes, we saw buffalo, we saw coyotes, we saw all these animals that are just like everywhere. And you're driving and you have to stop like every 10 minutes because an animal is crossing the road. And it's the most beautiful place in the entire world. But Yellowstone is flat and there's trees everywhere, and so it's hard to see, far. But the Tetons is big, wide, and open, and a giant mountain range. And so you can go out at the Tetons, and there's this place called Elk Moose Road, where you see like bears, elk, everything,
Cool.
and it's just huge, wide open. and you can see everything at the Tetons. Anyways, it was beautiful. The Tetons are great. Yellowstone is like, okay.
You know a weird fact about the Tetons? You can climb the Tetons in July, like rock climbing. And it takes forever. It's like multiple pitches. But that's like where people go to drown because they'll descend and all the snow has melted into like a ravine. And
Like
they'll,
commit suicide?
on accident, they'll accidentally drown. That's like the big, like, every year they publish like rock climbing tragedies, accidents, so you can learn from them. And the Tetons, people drown at the Tetons because they'll actually descend into a little
crevice or something.
little
that's
little valley full of like melted
filled. Wow.
water.
Why
and just,
would
like,
they
drown.
descend into it, realize they're drowning, and not climb back out?
Ascending a rope is actually quite difficult. And if you're in like glacial water, you just have to use all of your survival skills to ascend a rope. Some people just don't on time and they just drowned. So it takes like 3 minutes to drown. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't drown if
horrible.
they had a hookah snorkel. With
I
them.
know. They just gotta, you gotta publish that. I don't know what that word is. You gotta
Hookah.
patent. You gotta patent
Patent
that.
the idea.
Snorkel.
So they're plunging way too fast, faster than they can ascend. And they're plunging
Well,
into
ascending is very technical and very difficult. So I don't really know all the ins and outs of like why someone accidentally rappels into this like glacial
Is it
water.
snow at the time?
No, so when you're rock climbing, it's just rock face. There's no snow, and so when they accidentally descend or rappel, it's into this like cold little trapped
Maybe
part
they go
of
into
icy
shock
water.
or something and then just
Yeah,
drown.
That's horrible.
yeah, isn't that funny though? It's kind of interesting. That's where people rock climb and go to drown on accident.
Wow.
To everyone who has lost someone in the Tetons, we're
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it looks like it's going to be pretty beautiful. We're supposed to fly into Jackson Hole and then start the tour from there. So should be fun.
Yeah, Tim says he's getting llamas, little Tinas. They're gonna eat their lard.
They're going to carry all our gear and all, most importantly, all the delicious food for us.
It's gonna be Peru all over again. It's great.
Yeah, minus the llamas because we didn't do the llamas in Peru. See, this is where I'm doing the llamas. I'm making up for it.
Full circle.
Full circle. Awesome. Well, this has been a great shenanigans back and forth. We did a little bit of the bucket list. Well, we did a lot of the bucket list and then some random sprinkling of goodness in there. So for all of those listening, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Subscribe and continue following and tune in for the next one, which is coming out of this little cup in front of us. You can't see it, but there's a little Dixie cup full of ideas to help you learn more about me and my family and our experiences and the authentic life of what it looks like to be a real estate broker, nationwide consulting on all sorts of things for your benefit and free to you, by the way, if that hasn't been mentioned, free to you consultations for wherever you are in the U.S. Give me a call. Look us up, anavivo.com. Living on Woodby is where we are. Thanks again. Till next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Anavivo podcast. We welcome your feedback and ideas. You can learn more about us by simply Googling the word Anavivo. This podcast is supported by listeners like you. I am a licensed real estate broker with Compass Real Estate and a nationwide real estate matchmaker. We consult with you for free, find and vet the right real estate professional that specializes in the area and niche you need, are paid by that professional, and they get clients like yourself who want and need their unique specialty or winning track record. If you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell real estate anywhere in the U.S., don't simply web search the highest paying advertiser. Let us use our licensed experience to find and vet the real and best professional for you. It costs you nothing but a phone call or email with me and has saved my clients financially and emotionally. I'd be honored to serve, and you can reach me direct by email at tim.c.miller@outlook.com. And as always, to God be the glory.